Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Nexus Gaming Series Division B West Finals. My name's Jazzalene, and I have NotParadox joining me tonight to cast this amazing series. I'm super pumped to have you on. It's our second time casting together, but I'm really excited. My first time was a
Oh yeah.
blast.
Oh yeah, for sure. Second time. Last time we did a Girls Gang Squad charity event, which was a lot of fun. If you
Mm-hmm.
guys don't know about Girls Gang Squad, we'll talk about it more at the end of the stream. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and now we are in the grand finals of Nexus Gaming Series Division B with two incredible teams. Now, both of us know these teams very well. You've casted them several times, and I've actually coached one of the teams, and I am good friends with everyone on the other team. So it is going to be a really fun game. I really wanted to cast this game just because I know all the members so well.
Yeah, when I was thinking about who to have on for a co-caster for tonight's series, it was a no-brainer here to pick Paradox because
Mhm.
he's so familiar with all of the players competing tonight and the hero pools. And he has a lot of insight, especially into the team he's coached, Bronze6. So if you don't know, tonight we're going to be seeing UuuuuuuuuU and Bronze6 going head-to-head to be crowned the champions of their division. That is Division B West for NGS. Yeah, I mean, everyone, we're just waiting on one more person to get into the lobby, but what are your thoughts going into this? How are you feeling? Do you think both teams are prepped? I know you maybe are a little bit more familiar with Bronze6 and what they've done, but maybe you can give us a little insight there.
Both of these teams have had a little bit of a break. They haven't had to play a lot of competitive matches in a little bit, so hopefully they've all gotten their practice. I think it's going to be an interesting game because on one side we have one of the most coordinated teams we've seen in Div B, which is Bronze 6, and on the other side we have one of the, I would say, highest individual skilled teams coming out from UuuuuuuU. I mean, if you just look at the pure numbers, a Nexus Gaming
Mm-hmm.
Series brings out Stats of the Storm every week, and every member of UuuuuuuU has always been on the top of their respective stats. So it's fascinating to see these two teams clash where one is known. Almost every team that they faced has said they're just so coordinated. And so Bronze 6 versus UuuuuuUU, it's going to be a lot of fun to see because it's going to come down to that. How's that individual skill going to clash up against a team that's just very coordinated? Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I feel like from casting them this season, Bronze 6 definitely has some core comps that they like to fall back to
Hmm.
that really synergize well. Whereas UuuuuuuU is more on the side we're gonna just play heroes we're good at and make it work together. So I am interested to see how exactly that's gonna play out in the finals tonight. Bronze 6 kind of known for a little bit of some more cheesy strats going out there.
Yep. Yep, they have their couple combos that they like to do that are in more standard drafts, but then they also like to bring out the Stitches Medivh, where you kind of gorge and take people away. They've got a Vikings comp, they've got a Murky comp. I mean, they've got all sorts of stuff that we could see. But it's also one of those things where they've had some really solid comps in the past that they haven't brought out in a while. And I've been wondering if maybe it's because they were waiting for grand finals. They didn't want to show their cards too early because some of the other teams, for example, their last matchup, it was the sixth in the division. So I think they weren't too concerned about it. They still definitely had to take it serious, but I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
if they held back some of their stronger strats because they knew that they'd have to face UuuuuuuU again. And the last time that they faced each other, um, neither team was really taking it seriously because they already were in the playoffs. Both teams were already in the playoffs, whether they won or lost. So both teams didn't really take it too seriously. So it's going to be a surprise to either team how this game plays out, how these potentially 5 games play out, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is last time we did see them play, it definitely. I mean, there wasn't too much pressure for either side there, so there was some kind of just we're just gonna have fun with it. First pick Nova things going on over on the
Hmm.
side of Bronze 6. So I'm really excited to see how does this matchup work out when Bronze 6 is in it to win it now.
Well, we may see some comps that we've seen before. We may see some comps that we haven't seen for a few months. But all I know is that they're gonna bring a lot of well-practiced team composition. That is really what we're gonna be seeing from them. Now, what I'm curious about is how they're gonna handle the bans. On the side of Uwu, there was kind of a running joke at the start of the season that they were 5-1 tricks. Right? Peng
Mm-hmm.
was playing Joanna every game. Big Bird was playing Hanzo every game. Yuno was playing Artanis every game. Slexi was playing Brightwing every game, and then we had Coffee, who is playing Kel'Thuzad every game. Naturally, they've all had to expand over the course of the season, which is awesome to see a team grow like that. They've expanded their roster pools, but I would be curious to see how the bans are going to be approached, knowing that there are 5 members who are incredibly good at 5 heroes.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see if they go and take like the best hero from a couple people, or if they just are going to hard target ban one person and choke them on their hero pool. I'm interested too to see the bans coming out from the side of UuuuuuuuuU tonight, because there's some kind of things that are annoying to play against that Bronze6 plays. I know that they have Juji that plays Gazlo. He's had some amazing gravel bombs come out to turn games around, and Gazlo just one of those annoying heroes that don't necessarily want to face. Same with the D.Va. Both teams here do play D.Va. That's another one that can be really annoying to go against. And then obviously a little bit, like you were saying, like the Murkies, the Medivh, the Stitches, those kind of cheesy things coming out from the side of Bronze6 are things that maybe they'll consider banning here. I know too they have a Genji player, right?
They do, yes. They've got a Genji player, and I mean they have a team comp that they run Genji in, and but we haven't seen it in a while. A lot of the pieces of it get banned, especially on the maps that it's really good on. So we'll see if they bring that out. But yeah, I mean they've done things like Genji Uther before, where you get that divine shield with the Dragon Blade. And it's great because Dragon Blade alone has just enough damage to take out backliners.
Yeah.
But generally he gets peeled off by almost any tank.
Now,
But if you've got D-Shield on, you can't peel. It's just 3 full seconds. It usually starts before the D-Shield starts, and they get a couple hits, and then it's D-Shield, and there's 3 full seconds that you can't stop them in any way. And your healer's already outputting all the healing that healer can actually bring out. It's not like you can just be like, oh, well, we'll just add a little bit more healing. There's not like, it's not World of Warcraft where you're like, all right, I'll just pop all your defensive cooldowns. We're good. It's you only have as much as you're already bringing out in these fights. So it is definitely one of those tricky areas where if that comes out, it's going to be very, very scary. So I would expect UuuuuuuuU to ban Uther if they've been doing their research. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly how much research both of these teams have put into the other team and how much they're going to take that more so than just taking the things that make their comp work and banning the things that prevent their comp from working.
I do have a little insight onto how much research the teams have been doing. I know that UuuuuuuU has kind of had a couple meetings, at least one that Slexi has mentioned to me, and I know that they are on the lookout for that Uther Genji comp to pop up over on the side of Bronze6. She specifically mentioned that to me, so I don't think they'll necessarily be able to get away with it. But sometimes you get into these late game drafts and you're banning out those things you didn't want to deal with from the first couple games, and you completely forget. Oh yeah,
you forget about it by like the 3rd or 4th game.
Yeah. And I've seen it happen before, so you never know, they could sneak it in for sure. We are still waiting on a member of Bronze6 to get in here, and the timer started, so they have another 2 minutes until the first game is going to end up just being a forfeit. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because we'll still play it, I assume, but it's just not.
Is it 10 minutes now? It was 15 minutes last season. I'm guessing it's 10 minutes now.
Maybe it's 15. I just saw 10 in the chat. I don't know. I don't know the rules. I'm just here to
the players
cast the
would
games.
probably know the most about this.
Maybe it's 15.
Yeah,
I just saw the timer started at maybe it's 15.
I know the rules change like every season. The band mounts and stuff shift around, and sometimes the band skins, and then they also will adjust the rules a little bit. But yeah, so while we're waiting, for the people that don't know, Nexus Gaming Series is one of the largest third-party organizations for running tournaments in Here's a Storm. It is broken down into different divisions. We are currently watching the grand finals of Division B, which means the average rank of these teams should be around Diamond-ish. If they go a little too far above Diamond, now this is when they're initially placed. Both of these teams have actually moved up in rank a decent amount. So many of the members of both of these teams are into the Masters area now. But when they initially started, it was it should be around Diamond-ish. So if you guys get an idea, but the coordination that we're going to be seeing today should be somewhere around that play that you might see in a 5-stack in Storm League. potentially a 5-second Storm League that's Grandmasters actually is really what we'd be seeing, because these are 5 members that have played together for a long time. They're playing at their best. So I would imagine if you're watching those 5 Grandmasters in a Storm League 5-stack, that's kind of the coordination that we're going to be seeing today. Maybe even more coming out, because these are the grand finals. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
These teams are looking like they're ready. So let's go over those map selections really quick and give them a rundown of what's happening before we jump into this first match here. There was a coin toss to determine who gets first pick tonight. UuuuuuuuuU won that. And opted for first pick, giving map pick over to Bronze6. Those map bans coming out tonight: Dragonshire, Hanamura, banned out by UuuuuuuuU, Infernal Shrines, Towers of Dune, taken away by Bronze6, and we are going to Volskaya Foundry for our first game of the evening. I am going to let them know we're ready, and hopefully we can get into this.
I think so. Volskaya is always a fun one. It's got a very powerful objective, but it's got a lot of counterplay too. One of the things that's great about trying to grab the objective on this map is that you can give up one objective, collect a lot of items, and then be more powerful for the next objective. Even if you lose the objective, you're at a risk, because your abilities in the Protector are not as strong as the abilities outside the Protector. So you can actually lose a fight if the other team's paying attention. So I love this map because it's a straightforward objective to get with a ton of extra strategy and macro around the map, and a lot of strategy no matter which team wins the objective.
All right, well, we're into this draft here, and that first ban over on the side of UuuuuuuuU here. We were kind of talking a little bit earlier about what to expect. We know that Genji Uther comp, something that Bronze6 is potentially going to try and sneak in tonight. I'm wondering if this first ban is going to reflect that.
Could be. That's that Gazlo ban. You were just talking about this, something that GG plays quite a bit. Mean gravel bombs have completely changed the tide of many of these games, especially in the semifinals and the playoffs. So it does seem like there has been some research done. UuuuuuuU's already starting off with a good target ban.
I'm curious to see, a lot of teams have still been banning out KTZ, even though UuuuuuuU has been really pushing Coffee onto the offlaner role, and it's going to be that Diva ban coming out, which is not too surprising. We've seen Coffee playing a lot of Diva, as he is typically filling that offlane position for UuuuuuuU now.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky one. Yuna plays a very, very good Artanis, but every time Artanis got banned, they pretty much had to shift their whole comp around. So they pretty much just had everyone start practicing the shifted comp. There's the Uther ban, so we won't be seeing any Uther Genji shenanigans coming out from Bronze6.
Yeah, and to that point, even when Artanis has been up recently, there's been times Yuna hasn't even bothered taking it. She's opted just to stick on that DPS role and continue to let Coffee take offlaners.
I mean, since you've been watching them a little bit, do you feel like that added practice that they've had with just the role swap in general has helped out their team? I mean, having Yuna on ranged assassin and having Coffee in the solo lane, do you feel like that's helped them role swapping this late into a season?
I think the thing is there's still a lot of potential for them to be choked on their hero pool, no matter how they role swap it around. There's still limited heroes that Yuna can play either as the assassin role, and there's still limited roles that we see Coffee play a lot in the off lane. But we're being surprised here tonight, because for now, Yuna locking in Leoric, so she's maybe been secretly working on some new heroes to bring out in these finals tonight. This is really exciting.
It is. I think that's a really good pick to immediately take Leoric against that team, because with Gazlo and Diva gone, Juji's options have kind of gotten limited a little bit. He's got Urel and he's got Leoric, and Bronze6 has been playing a lot of Leoric, so I think that was a really solid pick, because it's kind of like a third ban at the same time as a good pick. And then we also have a variant in Tychus.
Now, I personally am not the biggest fan of Variant Tank, but Bronze6, every time that they've ran this, have been very successful. So I'm not too worried for them right now. And even I think they've ran Various and Tychus before, and I was thinking, geez, I don't know if they're going to have enough burst damage to actually kill a taunted target. But sure enough, Tychus just shreds, and they get the kills they need.
Oh, yeah. No, Tychus is great for burst, because you have that bigger they are, you go grenade build, and you can get that you get the 70% in the first like 2-3 seconds of your trait of the taunt anyways, and then you just throw the grenade usually does the last 20%. But with a Cassia going against that, all Cassia has to do is just make sure she's not the one taunted, throw blind out at Tychus, and they're pretty safe. So they will need to run another mage for burst, otherwise that blind is going to be killer.
Right.
And then same thing with the Gul'dan. I mean, if you can start off with an Entomb and then just Horrified, that's a really good setup for UuuuuuuuU so far.
I'm curious if they're going to stick with Yuna on Leo and Coffee on Gul'dan, because I know that Untitled also plays Gul'dan. So I don't know if we're going to see some swaps at the end of the draft, maybe. We had that Stukov ban coming out from Bronze6. That's definitely a target ban onto Slexia. She's been playing a lot of Stukov in the late season of NGS here. We've seen her a lot on Brightwing, and we're also going to see the Denial right there picked up over on the side of Bronze6.
Yeah, I definitely think that was a good pick. I mean, there's still things like Deckard available, which is probably what Slexia will end up taking there, is just grabbing the Deckard Cane. It works really well with things like Gul'dan, as well as Leoric, and then it also is still just another great pick. Yeah, Brightwing will be another great one. Follow up the taunt with a Polymorph. You still have the Chromie and the Tychus for burst. We have Joanna being picked up for the main tank. Double blinds will always be nice to increase Cassie's damage by 20%. And what is Juji going to take as his last pick? I'd imagine Urel, but I mean, are you expecting anything different?
No, I after seeing these teams play and kind of being familiar with his hero pool, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that it could be, but we're just going to have to wait and see. And I like having Urel with a variant because I feel like she brings a little bit more CC and right, Imperious.
Imperious is definitely another option. My only concern, I guess, would be Korean Ping. Landing Imperious, you have to throw so much of a commitment into a spear because you generally want to throw your W, then your Q, then your E. And a lot of commitment into a spear like that when you're at 180 ping is going to be a little tricky. But overall, I think this is going to be a solid game. I could see how either of these team comps can take this win. I love Cassia Joanna together. I think the Gul'dan Leoric is pretty solid. And at the same time, on the right side, we have that blow-up comp. We've got Taunt into the Brightwing Poly, and on top of that, that's going to be a pretty long duration that they're going to be silenced for Chromie and Tychus to just blow up that target, potentially even have Imperious throw his spear as extra burst if he's going to be with the team during those fights. I think my only concern on the side of Bronze6 is a pick comp generally struggles with disengage. You get one kill, and then if the enemies are already in the fight, you're done.
Yeah.
So potentially an Emerald Wind?
Yeah, I'm interested to see if we do see that get picked up. I know if it was Brightwing on the other team, it definitely would have been Emerald Wind we're seeing tonight, because Slexia almost always goes Emerald Wind on her. But yeah, I'm interested to see too. That's one of the reasons I don't like running a variant comp is if you don't get that pick off that taunt, you really don't have any way to disengage and turn the fight from there. It's kind of just like, oh, we didn't get it, and now we're kind of stuck in here, and all of our CC's on cooldown. What do we do? But yeah, interesting though. Coffee and Yuna did end up switching here, so Untitled is going to be on the Gul'dan, whereas Coffee's playing the Leoric. So I called that one right.
I think, yeah, I definitely like this. I've seen Yuna's Gul'dan before. It is very good. And again, all she really has to do, she doesn't need to do those horrifies, those like awesome big playmaking horrifies. All she needs to do is horrify the targets that are already in the Entomb, and it'll just lead to a kill or two every single time. Or even just when Varian goes to taunt, just immediately horrify. And could prevent that and could set up for some extra kills. But with that being said, we are entering game number 1 of the best of 5s Division B playoffs. On the left side, we have UuuuuuuU. Slexia is playing Deckard Cain. We've got Coffee on Leoric. We've got Yuna on Gul'dan. We've got Big Bird playing Cassia, Peng on Joanna. And we may have a pause, but either way, would you like to introduce Red Team?
Yeah, on the right-hand side, we have Bronze6 with Kira rocking Chromie, Danny playing Varian, Ferret on Brightwing, Juji on the Imperious, and Hit the J playing Tychus.
Let the battle begin.
And this is the start of game 1. So generally the start of this map, for those that are learning the game, I mean, hey, you never know. Most of these competitive teams will just kind of poke each other a little bit, start a double soaking rotation, but On the side of UuuuuuuuuU, they're immediately hitting some structures down in the bottom side of the map, getting a lot of structure damage, but this is a little risky because they could go in. The spear was a little bold. Nothing ends up happening there, and that's perfectly fine. We're 30 minutes from the turret spawning, and the team that generally gets the most turrets on this map will have advantages during each of the objectives. Juji's getting rather low, takes a lot of damage, ends up grabbing a fountain, and we are back to kind of that neutral state of the map.
Now, the other thing that we could potentially see here is Variant doesn't really come online to level 4, so there is a chance that UuuuuuuuU may go for that invade early on for that turret on the side of Bronze6. Tyka's getting some damage dumped onto him here, trying to get out that drain life coming out from the Gul'dan. Not quite able to finish him off. He is able to back up and get a tap in here, but this is a 4v3 in the bottom lane. So they have the Imperious and Brightwing soaking the mid and top. Turrets are coming up right now. UuuuuuuuU going ahead and starting theirs.
Yeah, I liked your idea of the invade. I definitely think that was a potential for UuuuuuuU until Big Bird lost a good portion of health. So I think you would have been right if he didn't lose that much health. I think they would have gone for that invade just because that Varian is so weak until level 4. Because at level 4, that's where so much of his stats are. So both of the teams end up picking up the turret on the side of Bronze6 just a tad later than the side of UuuuuuuU. Shouldn't really make too much of a difference in the long term, but when it gets to that objective, one of these teams will be able to get a potential second turret if the objective goes long.
I'm kind of liking UuuuuuU's strategy, just kind of run it down mid. They're having to still spend most of the time Brightwing and Imperious in that top lane because Lior quite capable of double soaking, but Imperious not so much, doesn't have the best wave clear. Taunt coming out onto the Joanna here. Polymorph to follow it up. Pang looking like he might be in a bit of trouble, but he has those potions to get himself healed up, and he's going to survive for now. Bit of damage being taken by Yuna here. But all in all, everyone's still managing to stay alive in this bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is kind of what you expect at the start of this. Now that Taunt is online and Bigger They Are has been picked up, they do have that blow-up potential. Now it's just a matter of, is there a target that they actually want to blow up? And they're immediately taunting onto the Joanna. They do a lot of damage, but they're not able to kill the Joanna before she was able to pop her trait. Once she popped Iron Skin, she was fine. So they need to really make those decisions if that's what they want to do. Because if not, they're probably not going to be able to kill Joanna until level 13 when they get that shield shatter or the shattering throw. Then they can just shattering throw the trait and go immediately to taunt and follow up. But that's a really good example of how much potential damage there's going to be in this team comp.
We see a play over that Biotic emitter now. UuuuuuuU trying to grab that. Kira around and has scouted it, so they know what's going on over on the side of Bronze6. I'm curious to see if they're going to try and stop this. Here comes Danny in for that taunt onto Joanna. Pops that Iron Skin. Decker Brew coming out there. Do have that cleanse from Brightwing to get everyone moving again. Camp is looking to be grabbed here, and it is going to be UuuuuuuU able to cap that. Juji looking like he might be in a bit of trouble here as Coffee goes in to try and finish him off, but he is able to walk away. Stun coming out. Juji going back in for that stun there. A little scary. But again, no deaths yet.
No, both of these teams are playing safe right now. They are not even trying to make any major plays. I do like the calculated risks that UuuuuuU's taken so far about getting that heal camp where they could and just kind of playing off of when the enemies are taunting, they're going in. That's a great spear into a taunt, into a decent amount of burst, but once again, it's just the Iron Skin. It's so much committed into someone who can simply just pop their trait and they're fine. We have the Ruby that's also healing Pang up, almost full health after every one of these combos. I feel like Bronze6 needs to start picking another target or really waiting until their whole team's ready to go for this. Like this taunt, for example, again, a lot of damage, but still, that's only half of Pang's health. Now, Juji's going down. Juji's taking 80% of his health, going down. Now, Danny's at half, and they're probably not going to be able to fight on this for a little while. I mean, Danny probably just needs to back here looking at his mana.
Yeah. Well, we got a little bit of break from this fighting going on. The teams are picking up their turret camps here. We do have some questing talents picked up. Gul'dan going the Echoed Corruption at level 1. We have a taunt coming out onto Joanna once again. He's just kind of scouting maybe if they have enough time to come over for the invade, but they're not going to do that. Leo in that top lane. Anyway, Gul'dan going with that Echo Corruption at level 1, currently sitting at 12 stacks. We also have Cassia going Thunderstroke, so she's looking to stack her Q as well. Over on the side of Bronze6, Chromie opted to pick up the Deep Breathing, so stacking the Dragon's Breath. And almost finished that quest, sitting at 19 stacks right now.
And we've hit kind of that early power spike. Now, Juji is in a really bad position. He's going to take a lot of his health, does a quick little spear to try to get out. Danny also does a little bit of a distraction there, but they have to get on this point. So Danny gets on the point and immediately starts taunting onto Yuna. Yuna takes a huge portion of her health, gets dropped down. Big Bird's looking like he's in a rough spot. He also gets dropped down here. And now we also have Coffee in a bad position, but he is able to Wraith Walk away, and that is a 2-for-0 trade in kind of a desperate time, too. They had to get on that point at 99%, and he had no mana. He had enough mana to get one taunt, and that was about it. And they played that really well, despite how kind of a desperate position they were put in. But also, I mean, it's that Chromie level 8 power spike. They were able to get an ultimate before the opposing team had that ultimate ability.
Here's the thing, though. UuuuuuuuuU are going to be back up in time to try and contest this. They're going to go for that pick onto Coffee. He does pop that Wraith Walker, looking to get out of here. Polymorph going out onto him. Arcane Flare connecting here. The chase is on. Coffee is going to get picked off here. Meanwhile, up on objective, Danny trying to hold it down. Brightwing coming in for the phase shift, but if they give this back over to UuuuuuuuU, they're going to be able to get this Triglav Protector.
Yeah, I mean, they stalled just long enough. Now they don't really have the damage to get a kill, or at least the mana to get a kill. But they did already get that kill on Leoric. They do have 10s first. I'm still just really concerned about that mana, but Juji goes in for a lot of damage, has just enough mana to taunt, and they're able to take out Coffee. No, Coffee's able to heal through all of this damage. He does still get taken out, but he's able to get rid of about half of Juji's health before then. Juji gets taken out there, but not before taking out Gul'dan. And now Slexia is really low. Hit the J has just been sitting on the side this entire time in Odin, doing an incredible amount of damage. And now in this overtime, Pang is almost taken down Chromie, and Chromie's just getting out with 70 health. An amazing time trap. A lot of damage goes off, a great taunt. And now they're able to get a kill, but Coffee is back up on Leoric even after dying early on. Hit the J is still doing so much damage during this fight. An incredible fight. Great Odin, and then even out of Odin, he is just dropping people. That was awesome. Played by both teams, but at the end of the day, this Triglav Protector goes to the side of Bronze6.
Now, they do have Varian in the Triglav Protector right now, so we were kind of talking about earlier. Sometimes when you're in this Triglav, teams can just dive past and get some value getting kills behind it. And especially when your tank's in there, you don't really have any peels for them, so just keep that in mind. Although we do have Imperius joining the push up here for now. Brightwing is soaking. Looks like he's going to break off and go mid. But Tychus needs to be careful. He's looking like a juicy target to dive right now.
Yeah, that is definitely a tricky thing. I mean, we talked about this earlier, that that's one of the major downsides about the Triglav. You get a big health bar, you get a lot of structure damage, but you have two of your members in there that cannot peel for anyone who's outside of it. So it can definitely be a tricky one. But they already got the well up at top lane, which will give them an advantage for the next objective. It really won't, just because the enemies also took the well up top. But overall, so it evens the playing field on the next objective. And now they're just kind of hanging out. They don't really need to make any major plays with this. It's very low health already. And it's going to time out in 5 seconds.
And there's the Triglav Protector going down here. Juji sitting in the bush over here, looking to catch them on rotation. Spear does go out, connects onto Cassia. Blessed Shield coming out from the Joanna to peel for, but the taunt connects onto Cassia as well. Polymorph out, that slowing sands, keeping it around a little bit longer. We do see Cassia fall there. Biotic Emitter started up right away by Bronze6.
Yeah, honestly, it's a tricky one. When you're going into blow-up comp like that and you're playing someone like Deckard, your only real option is to try to throw a couple potions out or have the rest of your team peel. There is a shield potion talent you could take at level 4 that helps a teeny bit, but you're very limited on someone like Deckard when you end up with something like that. But having some of the better options like Brightwing taken away from you and Uther, who gives that armor and multiple cleanses, it gets tricky to come up with options, especially when these teams know each other so well and they've limited their hero pools out with bans. So it's definitely a close one, but they will need to come up with an answer to this, or else they're going to start losing their tank every time now that they have Shattering Throw.
Yeah, definitely a little bit scarier with that Shattering Throw picked up on Varian now.
I feel like... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like maybe the best option, I mean, it's such a long cooldown, but the best option might simply be to just Horrify every time that that a rough taunt comes out. You won't be able to do it every single time, but maybe try to avoid fights until then. But it looks like
There's a
Danny's
Blessed
looking.
Shield coming out onto the Chromie, followed up by a Stay a While and Listen. Brightwing phase shifting into that sleep as well. Pang's taking power shots here, so they need to be a bit careful. But here's a Horfire from Gul'dan, followed up by that Entomb. 2 members down on the side of Bronze6. That was a really good pick for them there. This is exactly what they needed to do. Level 16s were going to be coming online here before for Bronze6 first. So UuuuuuuuuuU needed to find that fight, and I love to see that.
Oh yeah, I mean that stay a while is going to be an amazing setup for Horrify, and it was. Let's see how much they get while there's 2 people dead. There is enough burst damage to lead to 1 kill out of these 3, but I don't think they're going to take that risk without Brightwing. So with those 2 dead, they are able to take this top fort, and Danny is in a rough spot. Varians actually don't have much for escape, so he is able to get close enough to turrets that he's okay, but even a single CC right there would have really scared them. But in this case, easy fort take after getting 2 kills, but they are still down by a full level, and this objective is going to be an important one. So I mean, this is one of those areas where, I mean, I feel like they should probably just take a trade, go get as much in other areas as they can, try to hit 16s. But what would you do in this situation, Jazzy? What do you think they should be doing on the side of UuuuuuuuuU right now?
Well, it looks like they're going to go for that Entomb on a Juji in the bottom lane. You got the Brightwing phase shifting in to help out, but ultimately Imperius getting picked off. However, health bars on the side of UuuuuuuuU looking pretty low here. They've got themselves caught out a little bit too far in their lanes here, and Danny is eyeing them up, looking to try and pick someone off. Odin is popped by the Tychus, but everyone on the side of UuuuuuuU able to make it out.
Yeah, I think honestly Hit the J was just hoping that they were standing in front of their fort there. He fired off that first mini nuke, I guess, on in front of their fort, just hoping for the best while blind. But in this case, neither team's going for the objective yet. It was a great pick from UuuuuuuuU because they needed to wait a level before they could get on the point, but Bronze6 didn't want to get on the point down someone, so it actually played out so well, and this game is surprisingly close now, despite the objective advantages that Bronze6 has had so far. This is an even game. I mean, structure advantage on the side of UuuuuuuU, but level lead on the side of Bronze6, and this is very even. We've got a great taunt onto Leoric. Leoric takes a lot of his health. A Horrify goes out, but Coffee still gets taken out. A great stay a while, but we don't have that Horrify follow-up this time. What we do have is just a lot of damage coming out from that ball lightning, and Peng's out of position. Peng is going to get dropped here, and I mean, this objective is favored for Bronze6 again.
Yeah, just a little bit awkward positioning going on there for UuuuuuuU in that fight. Kind of saw Cassia up above the Biotic emitter camp, kind of fighting on her own there with the ball lightning in the back. But the rest of the team, you know, struggling with the Stay a While and Listen, it kind of really split them, and it didn't work out for them there. That Biotic emitter did end up getting picked up by Bronze6. I think they're just going to go and run it down bottom. They already have this bottom fort opened up. And this is something you mentioned earlier. Like, objectives sometimes aren't the biggest deal. UuuuuuuU is still managing to get value elsewhere on the map, even though they're likely going to lose this objective. They might have an opportunity to go contest it, but it's going to be tight.
It definitely is, and this is definitely, I mean, this is something that you need to do. If you ever lose a couple people, you need to go and take a trade. Try to get as much value in other lanes as possible, so that you don't just lose an objective and have everyone standing around the fort near the objective waiting for you to lose that objective. You can gain a lot of value, and in this case, Peng actually wants to fight. He wants to fight on this point. Now he gets taunted, he's gonna activate his shield. There's a great sleep going out, a great Horrify. They aren't able to take out Varian during this, but Peng's also getting a lot of healing coming out from that Ruby. Coffee's taking a ton of damage as they try to force that fight with the Entomb. But Hit the J and the extra healing coming out from Barret is just too much for a solo Leoric to deal with, and now Big Bird is going to get taken out. Peng's still getting a ridiculous amount of healing from those Rubies, but this time around, he's just body blocked by too many people. He can't pick up the rest of the Rubies, and that is a second objective going over to Bronze6.
Yeah, level 20 is very close to being online for them as well here. So even though, you know, structurally UuuuuuuU is kind of opened up the map quite a bit, they're still pretty far behind on XP now at this point.
Yeah, it looks like right here, because they're going to be hitting that level 20 power spike, they're just going to go for a keep. Generally, on a second objective, if you're even, you usually open up the whole map. You grab 3 forts. But if you have a lead, you can grab this keep without much of a threat. So a lot, oh wow, a lot of damage going out to Coffee, pretty much just on a spear and a grenade. And that is a keep while they still had members dead, and now they're going to look to clear up the rest of the map.
Keep in mind, Brightwing this entire time has been soaking and pushing out lanes as well, so that these waves are going to be crashing by the time the Triglaw Protector goes to meet the fort.
Yeah, this is just the time where they open up the map, but this is also the time that these teams could look to still make a play even after this Protector drops. And after this fort, I might even recommend like just getting out of the Protector and looking for an ambush. Purely because you have that lead. If you could kill 2 people here, you could potentially just end the game with that level 20 power spike, especially with this upgraded Odin. That big red button is now going to be nuking for an extra 700 damage. Not to mention that Odin's going to be lasting over 30 seconds, which is great. But this is going to be one of those fights. The Protector is down, but everyone on Bronze 6 is still full health, and we also have that level 20 advantage.
Keep in mind, this entire time, Leoric's been pushing top, so that wave's crashing up there on the top keep of Bronze 6. Brightwing has just Hearth back to clean that up. The turret camp stolen by Bronze 6 over here, and they also have their turret camp to grab as well. Uuuuuuuuuu's just looking for places that's safe enough for them to catch XP, so we're going to be seeing them just trying to get 20 and avoiding fighting for now, which means big window here for Bronze 6 just to go around and pick up all the toys on the map. They're going to get this biotic emitter. They already stole the turret of UuuuuuuuuU. Interestingly enough, though, look at this.
If they're quick, I think the only concern is this right here. Slexia was showing up a little late and just immediately get picked. And that's the only major risk right there. Is if it wasn't Slexia, it would have been Coffee, because they just showed up a little too late. Took them a little too long to do that fort camp. But I still like the attempt. Oh, but the staggered death on Yuna is going to be brutal. That is 3 dead. I mean, they could just go top and end the game. I believe they have enough DPS to do that against a Leoric and Cassia.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that's what's on their mind, though. They're going for this bottom keep. I
Could
mean,
just be playing safer. Could be looking for one more pick before they go in. If Coffee steps up a little too much, he's going to get taunted. Really, anyone that steps up can get taunted here. So it looks like Danny might just look for someone. That was a good slowing sand. Slowed him enough to where Danny might be able to step up. But they could just immediately go into Coffee. The taunt goes out. The polymorph doesn't end up going out. A great silence from Leoric. I mean, they're stalling a decent amount. Big Bird took quite a bit there. And they stalled for quite a bit. That's enough so that Deckard is up. Deckard's going for a stay a while, is able to lock down Odin, which is a good portion of their core DPS. Are they going to be able to defend this? Peng still has his ultimate. He can throw out his Blessed Shield whenever. He slows everyone. He still hasn't thrown out his Blessed Shield yet. He's just trying to blind everyone. We have Gul'dan out there too. Throws out a Horrify. The Blessed Shield goes out, but that is game. GG, game number 1 of this best of 5 series goes in favor of Bronze 6. Now, on the side of UuuuuuuU, we'll get to choose between first pick or map pick. Which do you think they might go for?
You know, off the coin toss, they were given the option of first pick or map pick, and they've gone with that first pick, and I have to think that they're probably going to stick with it, just simply because they have, again, that more limited hero pool where they might be trying to get in those first picks over priority of the map pick. In terms of, you know, I think that they've almost always gone with map pick given the option.
I definitely agree. I think that UuuuuuuU will likely go for first pick. I know Bronze 6 has team comps for every map and has a strategy for every map, so they also would like to get first pick unless they're going for something really cheesy. But for the most part, it seems I would agree. I think both of these teams would probably be looking for first pick here. But we've got a little bit of time until that shows up. Just a quick look at the stats. Healing was very similar for both of these teams. As far as siege damage, I mean, Chromie signaling at 150,000 is incredible. Just keeping up with the double soaking that Leoric was already doing, just having to keep up with that. Same thing with Tychus, 130,000 siege damage. They're just doing their best to keep up. Cassia, played by Big Bird, was able to top the hero damage chart. And again, I mean, it's pretty close to the standard Cassia build we've been seeing. Actually, it is almost the exact build we've been seeing in CCL, just a couple talents off, and I mean, we see the power of it. This is why Cassie is played. Add that with a Joe on it to just keep that 20% damage going, and he did quite a bit that game.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at any other talents that are sticking out to me here, but everything looks, for the most part, pretty standard. Nothing too surprising coming out in these builds, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, like, auto attack Leoric, it's definitely an interesting one. Koreans tend to play auto attack Leoric a little bit more, which is kind of fun. So he might have gotten a bit of inspiration over on that side. A couple W talents coming out from Gul'dan. The level 7 one's actually gained so much popularity. It's kind of taken over the spell power talent a little bit, especially for Horrify. So that's kind of, again, might have taken a bit of inspiration from the meta there. But yeah, overall, nothing too crazy out the builds. But what do you think UuuuuuuuU needs to do as we're approaching this next game? Most likely they take first pick. What do you think they need to do to adjust their strategy? Because while that game was relatively close in the early and mid, it kind of turned into a bit of a stomp near the end. Do you think there's anything that they need to adjust in their strategy to take out a team like Bronze6?
I think that they, first of all, they could put, let me just switch on over to us while we discuss this. They could put a little bit more priority on who's locking in first in their draft. There was a couple people that were on not necessarily their first or second or even third choice hero in this draft. Whereas, you know, there's others that locked in earlier that maybe have a little bit more wider of a hero pool. So maybe something like that. I think for the most part, you know, I kind of liked how they were playing it. They did go for fights when they needed it there, like when they were looking for that fight pre-16. That was a good call. So I think in terms of what they're thinking they want to do, it's just they just need to execute it better. I don't really like that call for the invade on the turret that they went for pre-level 20. I think they were hoping they could sneak the level 20 off of capping the camp, but it's just such a risky play because there's really one place to be on the map at that time. So just maybe in that late game, knowing, you know, if we lose a fight at level 20, that's probably the game lost. Just have a little bit more patience. You know, just waiting for that soak to come to you on your side of the map maybe would have been a better play than going for that aggressive turret pickup. So but I think that UuuuuuuU, they have the tools in their kit. They have the skill to be able to pick up a game here. They just need to play the late game a little bit differently, maybe.
Yeah. So kind of what I've heard, play the late game a little bit more calculated, take less risks, because it's going to be a huge piece of it. They were kind of even up until that point. And your first point, I kind of want to bring back up a little bit. You said just change the order that they pick their heroes, because they missed out on a lot of things. And if we just look at the Brightwing alone, I think that was a great example of, well, Brightwing's trait removes silence, and taunt is a silence. So there's a cleanse, albeit on a long cooldown. But your other option too is, well, as of level 13, you can get 55 spell armor. Well, a lot of the damage that's going to be coming out from the Chromie trying to burst the target that gets taunted is going to be spell damage. So again, picking the Brightwing a little bit earlier could have changed a decent piece of that game. Now, the sleeps were great from Deckard, don't get me wrong, but I do think I really like your point of just, if you just adjusted the pick order a little bit, that might have been a little bit of an easier game on the side of UuuuuuuU.
Yeah, they are ready to get into game number 2 here, so let's just pop back over, catch everyone up. We are going to Tomb of the Spider Queen for match number 2 here tonight. We are sitting 1-0 in favor of Bronze6 right now. This is a best of 5 series, so we still have at least a couple more games lined up. Hopefully 4 more. I would like that. But it does look like UuuuuuuU has opted to stick with first pick after losing game number 1. So this is a map pick by Bronze6 here. If you missed game number 1, that was played on Volskaya Foundry. The win went over to Bronze6. Those map bans that we've seen tonight, UuuuuuuU banning out Dragonshire and Hanamura, Infernal Shrines and Towers of Dune banned out by Bronze6. And it does look like we are getting into this now. So we're just waiting for this game to start up.
Tomb of the Spider Queen. For anyone who's unfamiliar with the competitive environment of Tomb of the Spider Queen, there's a lot of strategies, but the majority of the strategies of this map are related to double soaking, as well as making sure that your team kind of stays fluid, where your 4-man will usually be mid and top. Your bot lane will usually also rotate from bot to mid back and forth. That fluidity allows you to have random 5-man groups that will sometimes appear all at mid at the same time and allows you to force fights. In the competitive environment, generally teams will run things that allow you to force fights on your terms. That means avoiding main tanks like Tyrael, where the enemies can just walk away from you because there's no actual objective to sit on. So that's what we'll probably be seeing here is some Joannas for the double soak and potentially something like a Diablo for that forced engage or Leoric. And to start off, we do see again that Uther ban.
Interestingly enough, Bronze is going to be taking away Gazlo. I feel like Coffee's been dabbling a little bit with the Gazlo, so definitely potential of UuuuuuuuU to take it from them here. But already locking down that Uther Genji thing that we were talking about way earlier at the beginning of the night.
Yeah, I really like that ban right away. The Varian ban is a good call, especially with no Medallion right now. And that's another thing that many people might not know is that Medallion, I mean, you should know the Medallion's been removed by now. And if not, then hello and welcome to December. But the Medallion was removed, and that does shift the meta a little bit. Point and click stuns are a little bit more valuable. Roots are a little bit more valuable than they were before as well. And especially like late game, like point and click things are definitely there. So if you don't run a lot of people who have cleanses, then getting rid of that variant early is good. And then we also see that Diva ban.
Another thing that we could potentially see being picked up over on the side of UuuuuuuU is I know that Pang also plays Garrosh, and Garrosh is kind of fun hero on Tomb because if you really kind of camp more on the enemy side of the map on these rotations between mid and top, you can get some nice picks. So it's something to keep an eye out for as well. Slexia going to be locking in Stukov, and I like this. I think this is great for them because everybody's familiar with the hero pools here. So Slexia, you know, Stukov right now seems to be her #1 priority, followed by Brightwing, and we're going to see her on the Deckard if she doesn't get that. So if she doesn't lock Stukov now, they're going to start taking away her other things that she does want to play.
I completely agree. And then seeing Danny take up that Joanna will most likely be followed up by an Anduin later, which means I would recommend UuuuuuuU look at banning Anduin on this 3rd round. But and that Tychus, once again, we saw the power of his Tychus last game. The Odin, he got so much value, and outside of Odin, he was just blowing up targets left and right. So again, they still have that same potential on there with the Blessed Shield instead. We have Yuna picking her Artanis, so we also have that blind potential against the Tychus, which will be really nice, whether he's in Odin or outside. And Coffee on Orphea, it's one of my favorite play styles that I've seen out of Coffee is when he plays Orphea. He gets around the fight quickly and can do a lot of burst damage.
Yeah, I like this draft so far. We get to see some people on some big comfort picks over on the side of UuuuuuuU. They are... I think the way that they're drafting this is just an excellent order. We are going to see that Garrosh banned out by Bronze6, so that's not going to be something I mentioned. It's not going to happen in this match here. But Pang has a lot of tanks in his back pocket. He doesn't just play Joanna or Garrosh. He can also play Muradin. He can also... I mean, I think he plays a little bit of every tank. ETC is another big one that he plays.
I think the banned Anduin would be huge here. I don't know if they're thinking about it, but I definitely think that the banned Anduin would be huge. And there it is. Okay. So they don't need to worry about either of the combos, either the Blessed Shield Light Bomb or the one that we've been seeing a lot in CCL lately is that Falling Sword Light Bomb. There are still some great follow-ups to Blessed Shield, but that is by far the best one. And I'm glad that they got rid of it this way because now they need to get creative. And it's great seeing these teams kind of push each other to try out other comps or other adjustments. We see GG on that Leoric, and we also see the Maiev. So a bit different of a setup. We have the Entomb setup, or we have the grab from Maiev. The downside is that their damage is so reliant on people being grouped together now.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it works out, though.
Yeah, last 2 picks. Any guesses?
Oh well, Muradin and I mean Hanzo.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hit the nail on the head. You mentioned the Muradin earlier, so I'm gonna count that one. Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. They're all playing some of their comfort picks. They're 3 of them are on their comfort picks, and then the last 2 are on pretty much their second. And now for the last healer here, I mean, it could be anything. I see a weird world where we see something like I was gonna say like maybe a Tyrande. They're gonna be pulling in people so much that they can get value out of Starfall, but they kind of do a mini blow up where Tyrande was banned last time, the taunt and then the stun. This time Varian was banned. They can still engage with the Blessed Shield into the Tyrande stun, and Tychus will still have enough burst to get a kill. The only downside is they have to wait longer for the guaranteed version of this combo. They have like the budget version where they can just pull people in and slow them by 60%, but the full version of that combo will still be a level 10, and it's going to require 60-second cooldowns. It's going to be a little bit trickier. But both of these teams are back on comfort playstyles, which is great. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really liking Uuuuuuuu's draft here tonight in this game, just because so many of them are on heroes that are like one of their go-to heroes right now. Hanzo, that big bird on Hanzo, something we've seen him play several times this season. It's banned out on him a lot of the times that he's been playing in NGS, and he finally gets it tonight. And then the same with the rest of their draft here. They're all kind of getting things that they are first pick priorities for them a lot of the time. Well, here we are, game number 2, this best of 5 series. On the left-hand side, we have UuuuuuuuU with Big Bird playing Hanzo, Pang on the Murden, Unileska on Artanis, Slexia on Stukov, and Coffee playing Orphea.
On the right side, we have Bronze6. Danny is playing Joanna, Juji is playing Leoric, Kira is on Maev, Ferret 102 on Tyrande, and Hit the J on Tychus. So at the start of this map, for those a little unfamiliar, which hopefully everyone watching at this point knows this map, it's been around forever. But at the start of this map in the competitive environment, generally teams are just going to do their best to kind of set up an initial rotation. Usually they see if they have any quests or anything done, they grab that first globe of the game, and if they can't really do anything major initially, then they immediately start their rotations. We see that the solo laners have already approached the bottom lane, and we see that both teams are already looking to start rotating. The initial camps that are going to be spawning at 1 minute will be the bruiser camps on each side of the map, as well as the siege camp down at the bottom. Usually on this map, we don't see people rushing any of these camps. They focus primarily on that double soaking and potentially going for ganks.
A lot of questing talents coming in here at level 1. We do have Hanzo picking up some of the geometry, so he's looking to get those stacks on his scatter arrow. Murden also is questing at level 1 with Perfect Storm. A little bit of a fight breaking out here, though. Condemn coming out from Joanna. Pang looking like he is in a bit of trouble there, but he was able to leap on out of there.
Yeah, Murden's he's a really interesting hero because he has much better stats in general than most of the other tanks, but his abilities are not often as strong as the other tanks. His stun is a lot harder to land and doesn't even last as long as ETC's stun, right? It lasts, oh no, it does, it lasts the same amount of time, but it's a lot harder to land than ETC's stun. And so what he ends up getting from it is like higher health and higher damage, but he's definitely an interesting hero.
You also don't have, like, ATC, you have a face melt follow-up off that stun. Murden, you don't really have anything else. You hit the stun, they're there for a second, and you are already standing, like, a couple feet away from the target and nothing really much to do.
Yeah, so he's definitely tricky. I generally recommend people run him with another engage, but look right here. Danny is slowing down as many people as possible. Coffee's taking a lot of damage. An amazing trait heal comes out from Slexia, but it's not quite enough. They were just a little too far out of position. And again, I mean, it's tricky with that Murden because, again, an ETC knocks him back. And then that fight would have been over. And so what we hope is that they drafted Murden for a reason. We hope that we're going to see that reason in these team fights when they start getting around level 10s, when the engages are a little bit more on their terms, especially when they can engage with like a Hanzo arrow, for example. Then they don't need to worry so much about, oh, well, Murden's engage isn't that great, but we have Hanzo's engage that kind of make up for it. So that's the great part about that, is that they still have another engage.
And while all that was going on, we did see UuuuuuuU managing to pick up those siege giants in the bottom lane, and the bruiser camp of Bronze6 getting picked up as well by them, so that's needing to be cleared up in the mid.
Yeah, and honestly, if they can destroy front walls here, it's actually really valuable because the first objective will often get a little bit more value if it doesn't have to take all the damage that the turrets deal. So this could be really big for either team, depending on which team gets these front walls. On the side of Bronze6, they were able to do about 70% of the front wall's health, and on the side of UuuuuuuuuU, they were only able to get about half of the bottom turret's health. Either way, still are both very valuable, especially for this first turn-in, which both of these teams are quickly approaching.
Yeah, UuuuuuuuU has enough gems right now for that turn-in, but it's not going to take too much more until Bronze6 also is able to turn in. That's a big swap going out on the bottom lane there. Yuna swapping yourselves underneath towers for a second there. So did take a couple tower shots, but Juji landing that Drain Hope onto Pang, healing himself up, buried around to help out as well now. They still have that Bruiser camp they haven't picked up yet, but at this point, turn-in is up and available for Bronze6, so if they left to go do that, they would just be giving Bronze6 the turn-in.
Yeah, it's always a tricky one because there's 2 turn-in locations on this map, so it's difficult to overcommit into defending against one, especially if you just leave maybe one person to defend. For these teams, they're so coordinated. If you leave just a single person, that person can blow up very, very quickly. So that's definitely one of those things that these teams are going to be thinking about a lot. We see Kira doing a quick turn-in up at the top location, is not going to be interrupted by Big Bird and tries to also go in on Big Bird to get any damage, but we just need 3 gems on the side of Bronze6 and 12 gems on the side of UuuuuuuuU. Either one can turn in with a very small amount. It looks like Ferret's going to be securing that turn in for Bronze6.
Currently, right now, Bronze6 just slightly ahead on XP, but nothing that UuuuuuuU can't make up for here. But however, that is Joanna trying to engage here. Coffee and Slexia getting caught by the Maiev. We are going to see Orphea fall. Pang looking to retreat here, but the Condemn coming out from Joanna, catching him, and Kira going in to finish him off here.
Oh yeah, with a turn-in and 2 kills, this is huge. They are also able to destroy those turrets on the middle lane, so they can almost ignore that. Put all of their emphasis on the top lane, which is also the boss lane. This is a huge setup for Bronze6, and it should go very, very well for them. The major thing that UuuuuuuU needs to do here is their best at clearing up these objectives without losing too much. If they lose their top fort here, they're going to be in a really rough spot. So they clear up mid rather quickly, and now we see both Coffee and Big Bird on their way up top, but it looks like they're still going to lose that tower, or that fort in that boss lane.
It's really rough, the first turn, and if you end up getting picked off before the defense is available, that just opens up a huge window for the opposing team to get a lot of value out of their spiders here, and that's what we saw there. They got that pick onto Orphea and onto Muradin, which means there just wasn't enough resources for a good defense into these spiders, and that's going to start to snowball them a little bit. You already see they have their level 10s online. They're now over a level ahead on XP. We have a Blessed Shield coming out from Joanna here, looking to get that finishing blow onto Pang. But unfortunately for Joanna, it's going to be her that falls. Kira avoiding some damage there using her trait, but here comes a swap from Untitled, sending her back. And she gets picked off here, so this is kind of a turnaround coming out from UuuuuuuU here.
This is exactly what they needed. I mean, with these 2 kills, they can get their turn in now and potentially even enhance their turn in with a camp, or just push out all the lanes so the turn in will arrive a little bit closer to the turrets. And this brings them back in the game. They won that fight down level 10s. And yes, it was an overcommitment from Bronze6 and another quick kill on a Juji, which is going to be great for this turn-in because, again, Leoric won't be there for the initial piece of it. He'll get there pretty quickly. He's still Leoric. He can cheat death. And he is definitely cheating some death right here. But this is looking like it might be a back-and-forth game now.
I just want to go over those ultimates picked up by UuuuuuU here. We do have Stukov taking massive shove. Eternal Feast being grabbed by Orphea. We have the blind coming out from Artanis, Dragon's Arrow from the Hanzo, and Avatar being locked in by the Muradin here. Yeah,
I mean, what we're really hoping for out of UuuuuuU is a really long-range arrow that sets up into an Eternal Feast, and then they just have that Muradin that kind of prevents the counter-engage. Now, what we're seeing is a lot of damage going onto this objective. An ult goes out just trying to, or sorry, no, none of the ults went out. It looked like a Blessed Shield for a second because everyone behind the turret got stunned. But yeah, I mean, overall, they weren't able to get a lot done with this objective, and double stun, triple stun onto Peng. Peng pops his ult, jumps away with barely any health left. Coffee's in a rough position now, but they don't have a lot of CC left, so he's able to heal himself quite a bit, but unfortunately he will fall. I think if Peng didn't lose so much health before that, he might have been able to peel a little bit better. But again, he had to use his ult and everything. If he would have gone back in, he certainly would have died.
Now, UuuuuuuuuU does have another turn-in up and available here, but they are sitting down a talent here, waiting to get those level 13s. You do have Leoric kind of scouting out that bottom siege giant camp and then going back to catch more soak in the mid. But for now, it's back to that thing we were talking about earlier. They just need to have a little bit of patience at this moment. Get those level 13s online and then look to get that fight before 16s are hit for Bronze6.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is just a pretty standard, just, hey, let's just chill for a second. I feel like these are the times where Uuuuuuuu's like, well, we need to make a play. We're behind. But they're not even behind by that much, so they don't need to make a huge play. They just need to get 13s, and they have a second turn in. If there's a world they can get this next turn in, then they'll be in a pretty good spot. And even if they could get lucky with a pick or two, enemies making a mistake, if they're in a good position, then they can grab a boss. There's still so much that they can do. A great stun, a lot going off, and unfortunately, Avatar was still 7 seconds from being used. So this is one of the benefits of having lower cooldown ults, is that you can take kind of a weird fight, and then your abilities are ready, but the enemy's abilities are not. And that's exactly what Bronze6 just abused there.
Yeah, and during all that too, you know, Uuuuuuuuu's still kind of waiting for that level 13 to come online. They do have it now. The other thing too is the one of the annoying things about playing Murden is disengage is interruptible. And we saw that. You know, you have the Condemned to interrupt it. You have the Bind from Maev to pull him back in as well. The Stun from Tyrande. It's all just things that are kind of catching Peng and keeping him locked down when he's trying to disengage.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually, like, back when I was like laddering a lot, I used to play a lot of Joanna, and there were a couple heroes I was like, man, if I could get the Condemned timing right every time, it's huge. Murden's jump was one of them I had down almost perfectly for Condemned, and the other one was Chen's Panda Pals. His Storm, Earth, and Fire. I could get it almost every single time because I was like, oh, well, they're going to build up. Oh, and Coffee's way out of position. Peng tries to peel, but he actually jumps into peel, which means he does not have his escape anymore. He's going to pop his Avatar. But Kira goes in on the back line and pulls in a bunch of them. And then we also have Danny going in there to try to CC them. And another stun coming out from Tyrande. And this is an insane fight. Now, the one thing is that Danny's getting rather low, and really most of the people on the side of Bronze6 are getting rather low, and Tyrande has kind of iffy healing sometimes, but that's not going to matter. That is going to be Murden down, and I mean, we're looking at 8-3 in kills, 16-14 in levels. They have a full turn-in and a boss. They're going to boss here. Tyrande's going to heal everyone up back to full during this boss, and then they're going to get a turn-in, and this is going to be huge for Bronze6. I mean, even a single pick, they can close this game out right here.
Yeah, I just feel a little bit of some awkward rotations coming out from UuuuuuuU this game. We're seeing Peng getting caught out a couple times, and as well as now the Orphea getting caught out here. And it's really just staggering these deaths and making it hard for them to find that opportunity to try and take those fights as 5 on equal talent tiers.
Yeah, it's really, really a challenge. I mean, if someone gets picked out, there's not much you can do. I feel like GG's going in there just trying to lower their damage a little bit, and then he gets back before the Wraith Walk's over. But that's going to put his Wraith Walk on a pretty long cooldown. Eternal Feast gets a couple procs off. Nothing too crazy, but it does get Danny down a little bit. Peng gets a good stun, but unfortunately, it's like they're going in. They get a great stun on Peng. He has to just jump out. He does have Avatar available, but that's all that he has. Now, this boss is still almost full health, and the Web Weaver's at half. This is a rough one. We have an Entomb going out, lowering their damage, a great stun, and that's going to be Slexia getting dropped right there. And now it looks like that's going to be Danny getting taken out. I mean, look at this fight. It's crazy.
Kore is starting to take damage though, 82% and falling here. They get another pick. Orphea does go down, but 2 members down on the side of Bronze6 as well. Doesn't matter though, this Kore making short work here, and that is going to be game number 2 going over to the side of Bronze6.
And quite an incredible game. I mean, this is Bronze 6 just playing perfectly, looking for mistakes that Uwu's making. They catch people out of position. They have a draft that they've practiced before. They know this draft perfectly. I think Uwu individually ended up getting a lot of the heroes that they wanted. But as an actual core team comp, I felt like it didn't have a lot of synergy.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, when you have a Muradin, you need another form of engage, something like an Entomb, so you can engage on your terms, and then Muradin wins in those long, drawn-out fights. But what ended up happening is that Muradin would jump in, and they wouldn't really have a great follow-up because they didn't know if Muradin was going to land his stuns or not. And so they just didn't, like, individually, they all played great. Artanis did well. Then we had Orphea making some plays with also getting picked off a few times, but I felt like their team comp just didn't have a lot going on. Like I honestly feel like if instead of Artanis that was Leoric, and then they would Entomb to set up fights, they would Eternal Feast on the Entomb, and they had the Muradin in there to just kind of prevent the counter engage. I feel like that one shift would have completely changed this game. But overall, I think that they just got the heroes that they felt strong on, but they didn't have a really structured plan. Where Bronze 6, I mean, they've played this comp before, or variations of this team comp before. They know what it does, they know what it feels like, they know what fights they win and what fights they don't. They were prepared and practiced for this game, and they showed it.
Yeah, I think too, Bronze 6's draft, we were talking about how easy it is to catch people on rotations on such a small map earlier. They had a lot to lock that down. The Blessed Shield, you had Entomb to come in, you had the Warden's Cage from Maiev, you had stuns from Tyranta. So as soon as any kind of CC hit onto somebody, it was just this staggering, like, CC them again. Okay, next thing, and they were just kind of following up one after another as they tried to retreat, and nobody could actually make it out once you were caught out of position, so...
Oh yeah, no, it really, really did show. They were able to just get picks left and right. Like Orphea was never really that far out of position. Definitely further than you should be in competitive a couple of times, but some of those other times, Orphea was like near her turrets, but it
Yeah.
didn't matter because Maya would come out of nowhere, just pull right up to the Joanna. Joanna would pull again, slow, stunned by Tyrande, and dead by a Tychus grenade. And that just happened 3 or 4 times, and that's all it took. 3 or 4 times of picking people in that same method, and you've got yourself a free turn in, a free boss, a free camp, a couple turrets down for free. And with those leads on a map like this, it's very easy to push that over and claim the victory.
Now, I'm just looking at some of these builds. How do you feel about Amateur Opponent versus Protector of Ire? That's what it is, right?
You're talking about the new stacking talent, right? Yeah.
Artanis, yeah.
Honestly, Amateur Opponent is just generally better on most maps, purely because it works on like almost everything that's non-hero. So it works on everything that's non-hero, which means let's say you want to destroy a turret really quick, like Leoric goes roam, you can destroy a turret, or maybe even the objective. It helps you speed up and kill the objective. Where the problem with the other talent is, if Leoric sees that Artanis picked the stacking talent, he never needs to fight Artanis. He can just stay back and just double soak all game and never need to actually fight Artanis, which means by the time the fights actually matter, Artanis won't have enough stacks to make that talent worth it. Where if you're playing Artanis grabbing camps really quickly, and like we saw that early siege camp, or dealing with the enemy objective, Amateur Opponent is so good. So I completely agree with Unalesca's pick on Amateur Opponent level 1.
Yeah, I think now most of the time, especially when you're in a little bit higher level of plays, the enemy offlaner is not just going to feed you stacks on it. So they're going to know how to kind of play against around it and avoid giving you too much of a power spike off of it. And like you said, Amateur Opponent does extra damage to a lot of things. Your minions, your structures, clearing up those spiders makes it so much easier with an Amateur Opponent as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's I was just gonna say, there's also kind of like this thing that you've completely prevented Tychus from ever taking the other ult. And you might be thinking, well, the other ult isn't that good, but a lot of people have been using it because this new build for Tychus, these new couple builds for Tychus, he does more damage to single targets than he would in Odin. So if you need to kill a single target, it's actually better to sometimes go drill. But if you just walk up to it as Artanis and press W, drill's gone. You use a 6-second cooldown on or a 4-second cooldown or something on a 80-second cooldown, and it's gone like that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's, yeah, it's definitely a good pickup early on. But no, I mean, these are wild games. So again, they did kind of take what you were saying into account, right? On the side of UuuuuuuuuU, anyways, they took a little bit of what you were saying into account. They picked their pieces first, and I do think the Stukov pick did help a lot, because I mean, she got a lot of value, but the picks is what killed them. Now looking at this last game, what do you think UuuuuuuuU needs to do? This could be the game that kicks them out of the grand finals. This could be
Well, yeah,
the last
yeah.
game
Wait, you just
that
said
gives it to
last
Bronze
game, like
6.
you've already
Yeah.
called it. Bronze 6 is taking it, but that is not the case here. Ooh, totally still in this. We could still
Exactly.
be going for another 3 games here potentially. I think we saw some reverse sweeps being called for in chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, we kind of talked about this earlier, but it really is UuuuuuuU's strategy is more let's get heroes we're really comfortable on, where it really feels like Bronze 6 is let's make comps. Let's make a comp that we want to go for that synergizes really well together. And I don't see that happening as much for UuuuuuU, and that's pretty consistent thing is that they've played all their heroes individually very well, but in terms of how those heroes come together to form a comp that synergizes well together, sometimes it's just not there. And at this point, I mean, it's too late for them to be like, well, let's figure out a comp that does work on the fly for us. But I think that's really what their problem is here tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that, again, a couple adjustments could have certainly made it work. I mean, we talked about ETC a lot, and I know that Peng's ETC is really good. I mean, an adjustment like that, or maybe go wild with it. We're on a large map this time around. There is the potential of just going something a little crazy, going with globals. Coffee on the solo lane does actually have a pretty significant roster pool that he's decent at. And so where he's great at these assassins, maybe just sneak in something crazy like it's a Hako or even like an Abathur.
You know what I wouldn't mind seeing UuuuuuuU ban now is the Tychus. I'm pretty sure it's Hit the J that's subbing now, right? Because one of their members.
Yes. So well, they had 6 members that were pretty active, but I believe Hit the J is their sub that they've brought in. I don't remember their initial roster pool, but they have been kind of moving it around a little bit. But he has been playing since the beginning. He just hasn't been playing every game. So either he was in their original roster and they were using a sub for a while, or he is their sub, something along those lines.
Well, I know that they had one player that has like some political unrest stuff happening in their country and internet outages and stuff, and that's why they haven't been able to get their matches scheduled, and they were trying to get it all figured out. So I Hit the J definitely coming in for that member. So not he hasn't played as many games with Bronze 6 this season. Yeah.
They know the last game that Bronze 6 plays is usually a kidnap comp, so that's pretty funny. So again, this is research that UuuuuuU's done. But what does that open up? What's their second ban usually? It's the Gazlo normally. The opposing team banned the Gazlo and the Diva. So what else was banned? Oh, they banned the Varian last time. In the Toronto the first time, I think.
Gazlo Uther in the first game, and then Uther Varian in the second game.
Yeah, that's what it was. So this first pick, I mean, you almost want to grab the Joanna, but you also kind of need to grab the healer as well. Like a Brightwing would be great on this map. So the Varian, interesting. So they leave the Varian open and they go, "Hey, we'll do it. We'll do it. We can do it too."
I wonder if we're gonna see Yuna doing offlane again, and maybe Coffee trying to sneak in his KTZ at this point. A KTZ blow up combo off a Varian taunt.
KTZ's is tricky because you'd be able to always get one chain, but then you're gonna pull people away or like around. We see the Joanna and Brightwing.
There's a lot of walls to kind of interrupt those pulls on Curson as well.
Yeah. In this case, I mean, I'd be curious to see they grab this. So okay, so they're listening to you, but without the bans, they're just grabbing the pieces away. So they're using all of their picks as pseudo bans, and this is something that we've seen here and there, but it's usually only done once or twice per draft. And in this case, it looks like they're doing it almost all the way through. They are just stealing the enemy's draft, and they're gonna run with it. So we do have Brightwing and Joanna. We see the Stukov ban. Tyrande is still available. Deckard's still available. He's okay for following a Bavarian taunt as well. You just got to be fast with that route. But we'll see. I mean, what are you expecting coming out from? I mean, we'll be seeing Bronze6 picking next. What do you think they're going to pick for these next two heroes?
Kael'thas and Deckard. Or sorry, Bronze6? No, not Bronze6.
Yeah,
that's
Bronze6.
Bronze6. Oh, well, I'm not the person I'm not familiar with is Hit the J, because he's been, not playing as much, so I'm not sure exactly. But I know over here, UuuuuuuuuuU definitely
it should be
with.
KT. Yeah, I'd imagine it's KT and Deckard. Yeah. I mean, there's some other ones that I'd kind of like to see is like Ariel. Like, they've been going so blow up that the Aegis would work out really well, and it works great with Leoric because you can just slam everyone into the wall that gets hit by the Entomb. But instead we go to Tyrande, and they're just going with training wheels. It's just charge, taunt, stun, remove armor, and then burst from either the KT or Tychus. And then just Leoric double soaking.
This is a comp that you like to get teams to run with your coaching, if I'm correct. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
It's the first comp that I teach teams. Now, I believe I've ran it with them once, but I don't know how much they've practiced with it since then, because it's been a long time. But this was the first team comp that I showed to Bronze6, and then I said, make adjustments after that. And that last pick is a Valeera. So I've seen this before, and I've seen this played by Kira before. Abathur Valeera is infuriating to deal with. Valeera alone has enough damage to do about 80% of someone's health in her combo alone, a backliner. You add in the Abathur's like the Abathur hat, the extra spikes coming out from it, and it's enough to take out something like a Tyrande or a Kael'thas before they can react. And against something like a Varian who doesn't have a lot of peel potential, this is actually pretty huge, especially since Valeera can be unstoppable, or like a form of unstoppable with her ult. So this could actually be pretty much a blown up Tyrande every single fight.
Yeah, definitely scary and not too surprising because, I mean, Bronze6 is kind of known for running these little, kind of cheesy things. So popping out of Valeera, especially with them being 2 games up in the series, I was expecting something a little different from them in this series. They like to, when they're feeling a little bit safer, to start to pull these kind of comps out.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a surprising one, but they do love these little strats, and they've got a lot of them. With that being said, on the left side, we have Slexia playing Tyrande, Coffee playing Leoric, Unileska playing Kael'thas, Big Bird on Tychus, Hang on Varian, and that is UuuuuuuuU.
And over on the side, on the right-hand side, we have Bronze6 with Kira playing Valeera, Juji on the Abathur, Ferret on Brightwing, Danny playing Joanna, Hit the J on the Raynor. And Kira, I feel like I missed someone.
Abathur, usually? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's already a bottom lane. So it's a tricky one because UuuuuuuU individually, they're pretty good with each of these heroes. They are pretty good, but I don't think that they're as coordinated as Bronze6 at playing this team comp. So it's definitely going to be something. And this is, if you're ever someone who plays a hero a lot, you know every way to counter that hero. And in the same sense, Bronze6 has played this team comp so much, they know exactly what to do to beat this team comp. And so in this finals, I think it's heavily favored for Bronze6. Not only are they running a comp that UuuuuuuU has never faced, but they're going against a comp that they know the ins and outs of. So it's really going to come down to UuuuuuuU making every play correctly and potentially getting a lead.
Kira was sitting in the bush there, hoping somebody would rotate through there for quite a while, but that didn't happen, and we are going to see some camps started now. Raynor working on the camp for Bronze6 here, going to go ahead and probably cap that right away because that objective is in the bottom lane. So there's no... usually when you see an objective spawning in the opposite side from where your Siege Giants are going, you wait until about 2 minutes, 30 seconds, so they're pushing down during objective. You can try and get some value out of them while objective is up. But since we have that objective in the bottom lane, he's going to go ahead and cap that. Meanwhile, because UuuuuuuU, like I was saying, the objective spawning in the bottom so they can get their Siege Giants seconds, they're going to grab that Bruiser camp right now, and I imagine somebody's going to walk over to start those Giants in a moment.
Yeah, that's should be something that they're going for. Looks like Yuna's already on her way there, exactly how you've explained it, and that is how you want to prep this map. Now, sometimes teams will grab it a tad early, and that's usually if they're going to start looking for picks. Now, the one thing that I think UuuuuuuuU has going for them right now is that they have a really strong early to mid game where Abathur kind of struggles a little bit in the early portions of the game. So in order to make this happen, I think they need to be able to win these first 2 objectives and potentially even get a kill or 2 during
Coffee
those.
needs
If
to be a little
can
bit
get
careful
that,
here. Look at this. Valeera going in, taking some tower shots for the kill, but that's first blood going over in favor of Bronze6 there. Slexia coming down to help clear up those siege giants. And Tribute coming up now in about 30 seconds in the bottom lane.
yeah, it's I mean that's a rough one because UuuuuuuU needs this objective. They need to win this objective here. This one is huge for them. They against an Abathur on this map, you almost need to win the first 3, and you need to do it relatively quickly because if not, that clone's going to kill you. Or in many cases, because they have a permanent hat target, you could even go with Monstrosity at this point and just have that endlessly push and just have your permanent hat target.
Sorry, look at Kira's positioning here. She's just waiting for one of the squishies to kind of come in and find someone to get on the flank. Uuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuuu She's just abandoned back here. Her team doesn't even realize what's going on. They do get the counter pick onto Joanna, though, so it is a 1-for-1.
Yeah, and I mean, they could still go for this again. Taunt is back up in 2 seconds. They could potentially go for another one. That should also be Tyrande stun available whenever this taunt goes off. So Ferret might actually get taunted here into a Tyrande stun, into a W. They win the objective, and they get 2 picks. Can they get anything else with this? There's only technically 1 death here, so they'll probably just go back to lanes and continue soaking. But this is really the kind of stage 1 of 3 that they need by both the objective, but also they just need that lead against an Abathur, so they don't worry about that. But I liked Slexia's position at the start of that fight. She was right next to Pang and right next to Big Bird, so that if Valeera came in, they could actually like maybe peel or at least just do enough damage to scare off Valeera. Kira's positioning is just hilarious.
I know, she's just waiting for someone, and here it comes. Look, we're gonna see Tyka's getting caught out here. Polymorph coming out and deleted. Slexia coming in, trying to help out, but she is going to be able to walk out herself here. This is something we've kind of been seeing happen a lot with UuuuuuuuU with their rotations, is there always seems to be one person that's straggling a little bit and gets picked off by Bronze6. It's happened so many times in the course of all 3 of these games now.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, this is definitely one of the more rude comps, and it's a bit of that kind of like a one-trick pony comp. It does one thing really well, and it's kind of hilarious, but they burn a lot to do it. You know, all that it would be required to counter this is actually in the arsenal of UuuuuuuU, is just grab this stealth ult on Tyrande and then just pop stealth, because they're going to stun the target, and then they're going to stealth before the poly goes out. And they might be able to keep them up long enough to maybe get those heals off on Tyrande. Or if they wait until after the poly goes out, they could stealth, and that's it. That's the whole combo down. And they just burn the Brightwing Telly, the Polymorph, everything that Valeera has to offer. Now, that's Kael'thas taking pretty much her entire health, and that's out. Or Untitled taking her entire health. And now they have to do this fight down Kael'thas. They are able to interrupt the objective, but Leoric's not there. I mean, this is a 4v3 with a hat. So I think they have to give up this objective, and they're going to need to start thinking about how they're going to answer Abathur for the rest of this game.
Yeah, we do have some camps back up online now. Valeera getting caught out here. She does go into her stealth there, and they weren't able to pop that out. Now 3 just missed skill shots trying to get her out of her stealth. Unfortunately, not able to find that pick. Siege Giants are started up here for UuuuuuU, Untitled and Slexia working on those, but level 10's online for Bronze6. We do have Joanna talenting it into Blessed Shield. Blink Heal coming out from the Brightwing. It is going to be Ultimate Evolution from the Abathur. Smoke Bomb being picked up by Valeera, and Hyperion now locked in for the Raynor.
So as far as these, the benefits of going Starfall is that you will have a little bit more value against the stealth targets, right? You'll have a little bit more value if the fights get a little too chaotic. I think the downside is that you lose that preventative measure, and you also lose, again, if the fights get really chaotic and everyone gets spread out, you lose a lot of healing as well. But overall, I mean, if they can combo well, if they can get that Entomb in the Starfall, that could be incredible. They do have a bomb spreads on Akira, and they quickly win that objective, which is awesome. We do have Clone being picked up. That's kind of what I figured, but we have been seeing more monstrosities, especially with those like perma hats.
Coffee catching Kira here, had the hat on, but she's gonna be able to get away. She does pop her ultimate here to try and avoid some damage. Just kind of dancing around, looking for her window to get out here. Unfortunately, all the jukes in the world aren't saving Kira there. She does go down.
And I mean, with one dead and against an Abathur, this is a great time to go for a boss. They'll lose their top for it, and they'll lose one tribute, but what they'll gain from it is worth so much more than that one tribute. And if the enemies don't even realize it, and it looks like they're probably realizing it too late, they're going to go for their boss, and they might not even lose the tribute nor the fort. They could go up and stall this tribute and have a boss pushing. Against an Abathur, that's pretty good because it's going to be harder for him to go to these locations and body soak a little bit because he's not going to be able to hide behind towers. We've got a great taunt going out on a ferret, an amazing teleport. The stun came a little too late, but it does not matter. A ton of damage is going out. Coffee's hitting their backline. A great Starfall is giving a lot of extra heals for Slexia to keep everyone up against Kira. That's Raynor getting taken out, and those bombs are still out, making it to where Kira can't step up. As long as those bombs are out, but Kira's able to do a ton of damage, taking out Coffee. Pang's getting low, but Kira's also getting low. Kira gets taken out by Big Bird. Danny's going to be taken out right here, and they could potentially steal a boss and then go for Curse here if they time it out correctly. But an amazing heal comes out by Brightwing, keeping Ferret alive, and now everyone just needs to back off. This is a great Curse. They won't be able to go for a boss because of that play coming out from Ferret. But overall, I mean, this was awesome on the side of UuuuuuuuuU. This is exactly what they need to get in this game and kind of bring a little bit more of that confidence back to them.
Yeah, I love this. They've now drafted something that is like a comp that works together, and it's working for them now. There they go, trying to get that pick onto Brightwing, but she was able to blink heal out of there. And Tomb coming out, that's going to connect onto Ferret. Is stuck in that Tomb from Leoric. Pang going in, trying to keep her around here. We do have 3 seconds until that taunt is back up. And as Ferret is doing all they can to just continue to blink heal themselves out of this situation, they ultimately do get that pick on a Brightwing. Kira on the flank there, looking to see if maybe she can catch someone straggling on the rotation. They've been able to do that a few times, but this time sticking pretty close together here and setting up for this boss.
This is a very risky boss. They killed the healer. They do have everyone available, but it is definitely risky. Now, the Curse is still going for 10 seconds, so they kind of need to answer that or else they're going to lose a lot more from it. But this is a great boss. They're able to take it quickly and without really any resistance. So that is awesome. I like how they're keeping their rotations a lot tighter now, especially against that Valera. This has got to be one of those comps that's infuriating to play against. Now, are they going to Shattering Throw quickly before? They're not. Didn't get the Shattering Throw, but that's perfectly fine. The Odin's being popped. It's like they've watched how the enemy have played this comp, and they're kind of just playing it exactly like how Bronze6 played it, which is awesome adaptation on the fly. I mean, if you can literally learn the strat from the enemy, take it from them so they can't play it, and play it really well, that's incredible coming out from a team like this.
We did see Abathur pop the clone there, and that was burst down pretty quickly. And Tomb coming out onto Joanna. We do have the Iron Skin pop, but it is going to be Varian that goes down here. Danny trying to walk away with quite a little help in the back line, just getting chased down by Hit the J and Kira. 4 members down on the side of UuuuuuuU. Leo left behind here, and we're going to see him fall in just a moment as well. This keep taking quite a bit of damage from the boss, but for now, managing to stay alive.
Yeah, it's honestly, it was a risky play. They had a low amount of health. Tronda had already used her ult, which means that the healing was going to be dropped significantly because she gets a lot of her healing from her ultimate abilities. And they still continued to go into that fight. They didn't have a major advantage, so it was definitely a risk. Did it pay off? Well, if they can get that keep, that's going to make it easier for them to get a lot of these later objectives. And they didn't lose a lot. They lost about a level worth of experience. But outside of that, they'll still be 16s before, and it looks like Coffee's just going to try to grab this. He's going to die for it, but if you're down levels, it's not that big of a deal to die. And Mule was not picked up, Networked Carapace was, so he could eventually just keep hitting this and just go for it. In this case, he's going to get that trait value, and otherwise, it's just it looks like UuuuuuuU's going to give this next objective, and they're going to Leoric's just going to make his way back up to try to sneak that last little bit of health.
I mean, fortunately for Bronze6 here, with a Brightwing and an Abathur on their team, they're going to be able to continue to pressure out that top lane, and it's going to be a little bit harder for him to just walk in and take it without dying. I mean, right now the health's pretty low, so he might just int for it a couple times, but it's kind of, I don't know if I like that idea.
I wouldn't mind inting for it one more time just to get it, because you'll be up before the next objective because you're Leoric, and that keep, because the next objective is bot, would actually be pretty valuable because you could stall it out for a while. Abathur could only defend so well against Katas.
Yeah, he's not even gonna need to int for it here because he has a wave with him this time, so just walk in and grab that there. There's a bruiser cam pushing in the mid for Bronze6 to clear up here. They're making their rotation, and then that boss up, and immediately UuuuuuuuuU ready to take it.
Yeah, I mean, they're immediately going for this. It's a little risky, but they are even levels, and there's that Kata going out. Coffee's able to sneak away, so he distracted them for a little bit. They probably know that they're going for this boss right now, but it's halfway gone. Peng doesn't have a lot of stall for this, so this is actually risky. They back off of the boss because they want to immediately go for something. Peng takes a ton of damage, but that Starfall is going to allow Slexia to heal back up Peng. A Phoenix goes out just to zone out the enemies. The clone is out. If they don't take this fight, this is actually really good for them. Now, that is Coffee taking a ton of damage. The clone is out, just distracting them as much as possible. But this is not bad. Now, if Coffee's going to take a Q here, he's going to die.
Look at this
great taunt coming up from
towers!
Peng is able to take him out in tower range. So while the Tribute and the Curse will be going in favor of Bronze6, that's a great pick because they can still prevent Bronze6 from getting really anything during this time. I don't know if it's worth it to go for a boss here, even though you do have one down and clone is down, just because that objective's up. But that was a great pick for them because it's going to keep them alive during this curse.
Yeah, look at their Siege Giants, too. Siege Giants managed to walk all the way to core here, and when Curse is on, they still keep their health here, so that top lane is going to continue to stay pushed out for the most part for UuuuuuuuU during this curse phase. Meanwhile, over here, we got a fight going on. Kira getting a bit low here. Coffee also looking like might be in a bit of danger here, but he does manage to land that Drain Hope and get healed up, and it is going to be Joanna getting picked off. Valera and Ferret on the Brightwing sneaking their way top here.
I mean, they're just doing what they can. Ferret's going to try to back out, but oh, Big Bird's going to see it. He's going to get polyed. He's going to get stunned, but that's not going to be enough. He's going to quickly melt down Kira, and especially without... Oh, Brightwing's going back in. Is that crazy? I don't even know. I mean, Kira is going down, ends up getting taken down by that melting point on the grenade on Tychus, and now that's 3 dead. They could potentially just end the game right here. And it looks like that's what they're going to go for. They're going to see if they can end right here. Now, against an Abathur, I mean, the Joanna will be up in time, but they can get a lot of work done. Phoenix will be up before, and we do have Odin. This is going to be a lot of damage going out quickly. We see Juji just trying to clone the Rainer to get any amount of damage here, but this is looking like game 3 and potentially the first game of a reverse sweep going out in favor of UuuuuuuU. This core is going down quickly, and the members of UuuuuuuU are not. So that is game number 3. Now we are at a 1-2, the start potentially of a reverse sweep in favor of UuuuuuU. And that was an incredible game. I mean, they stole the enemy's draft. They adapted and learned from the things that the enemy did in that draft, did what the enemies did well, and they were able to adapt quickly to the combos that Valera and Abathur were doing. I mean, this was a really, really well strategized and thought out game, and a great adaptation coming out from UuuuuuuU in such a short amount of time.
How good must have it felt to win that game? You never want to end a playoff series, first of all, being 3-0'd and not even picking up a single game. But just take a comp that the enemy team is so confident in running and use it against them. It just has to, they have to be feeling so great at this game. And I hope that that feeling is enough to kind of catapult them to maybe get us into a game 5 here. Maybe even a reverse sweep going on for them.
Maybe. I mean, a reverse sweep, it's kind of a meme these days. Like, everyone hopes for it. We've seen a lot in NGS. But what we have here is, I mean, this was an awesome adaptation. And again, it's just that little, it only takes one win oftentimes to not only give your team the confidence to know that you can beat this team. Like, if you just lose games and you're getting stomped, you're going, it feels like we can't even beat this team. Like, they're unbeatable. But you sneak a win, and especially against an infuriating strategy like, I would be so tilted if I would have lost a Valeera Abathur. I would have been so tilted. I would have been done. I'd have been like, okay, fine. Like they have this series, and I'm also like uninstalling this game. Because that would be infuriating. But for them to be able to adapt, learn, fix it, dominate, absolutely dominate. I mean, the early mid game had some fluctuation, but right as they start reaching that end game, I mean, they played it so well. That was great. I mean, even looking at the healing, Brightwings these days is known for some incredible healing numbers. Slexia out-healed Brightwing by about 9,000 on Toronto, which was awesome. As far as damage, they did less damage, but in these blow-up comps, you generally do less damage because you're going to kill the target before the enemies get time to heal, which also could be part of the reason why Brightwing's healing numbers were a little lower. But overall, I mean, these teams, they played it well, but UuuuuuuuuU, I mean, props in that game. Yeah. They played it so well.
Well, I'm excited to see where we go from here. I even like look at the deaths here, 11 to 12. It's such a close game on paper.
And it was
there.
level 19 to level 19.
Yeah.
Like it was wild. It was so close. Both teams had that so close. Even down to the last little bit. If they didn't kill so many members, that core call couldn't have happened. They would have just taken boss and potentially just gone for more advantages in other areas, try to get that level 20 first. But I mean, it was wild. I was really surprised that when Brightwing went back to heal that Valeera at the end, I was like, is there a world that Brightwing could have gotten out there? Like Valeera stalls for a little bit, pops her ult, does what she can to just like delay, and then Brightwing's at least left. So it would be the people defending would be Raynor, Brightwing, and Abathur. I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, but I think it might have. I don't know, but it was a crazy game.
Chat brings up a good point too, is Brightwing's healing numbers could have been a little bit lower too, because a lot of the times we saw phase shifts being used, it was just a phase shift on to get a polymorph on the target Valeera was going for, not really to heal Valeera necessarily, at least in the early game.
Yeah, no, that definitely could be it. I felt like that was a huge commitment to always use the Brightwing Z on that. I think the Abathur alone is enough, but they were just trying to get that poly as well to really guarantee those kills. But I feel like there's better ways to do that. But either way, I mean, it's a fun comp. It seems like it worked for them in their practices, and it almost worked in this game as well. But again, when you get to the grand finals, it's like you need to understand that both of these teams have already beat. I think Div B West had like what 25 teams in it or something. Like it had a crazy amount of teams that these teams had to face multiple times to get up to this grand finals, which means they can't just go with what's beat some of these other teams. They need to go with the tried and true strats and then also adapt. And that adaptation is definitely what's going to make the difference here.
Couple things I also just wanted to note is I feel like this game in particular has maybe made UuuuuuuU a little bit more cognizant of how they're going to be doing their rotations, because they're really aware that one straggler isn't quite with the group, they're getting picked off, and running the Valeera Abathur comp really solidified that for UuuuuuuU to really pay attention to how they're doing these rotations and making sure somebody isn't getting caught out alone. The other thing I wanted to touch on is, I don't know if you still have the builds up.
I do, yes.
Yeah. What do you think about that Kael'thas build?
Let me see. That's pretty standard. The only thing that's probably unusual is the Phoenix. Level 7s, sometimes people take the percent health, but I mean, you'd probably only hit the Joanna, so you wouldn't get too much value from it. But it's relatively standard. I think Phoenix is the only thing that is a little less prioritized these days. Usually it's Pyroblast. But I think if you're imagining who you would actually hit with Pyroblast, they're just going to get hit by the spell armor from Brightwing.
Yeah,
is potentially a big deal. So I think that was a good adaptation, switching over to the Phoenix where it's more sustained damage. I definitely think that's a better option. But overall, I mean, I think she played pretty well on KT, especially since 90% of the fights were just running away from a Valeera with an Abathur hat.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to just touch on talent-wise before we move on? Because the lobby is up and ready to go here.
I ended up just hopping in the new lobby, so I can see over on the delay for at least a minute what was on the other one. Again, auto attack Leoric coming out from Coffee. There's adaptations to that can change it around a little bit. Owl build from Tyrande. We haven't seen a lot of Tyrande in the meta, so we don't really know where her meta build is going to sit. I still tend to go the old build. Longer range on stun is easier to follow up stuff. The cleanse at level 16. But the Owl build is newer, and it is something that is pretty strong, and it's hard to gauge how strong it is, especially against someone like a Joanna. There's a pretty big health bar that you can immediately do a good chunk of, and then lower her movement speed and attack speed, or sorry, her movement speed and her damage. So, I mean, overall, I think the build adaptations were solid from both teams.
All right, let me go ahead and update this map we're going to here. I'm not sure who's picked this yet because I don't have first pick selected. But we can at least give a rundown to chat and let them know how we got here and where we're going. So we're going to head over to those map selections right now. So next game is going to be played on Battlefield of Eternity. And we just have, it does look like this is a map pick coming out from UuuuuuuuuU. His first pick is going over to the side of Bronze6. If you missed the first few games here, game number 1 played on Volskaya Foundry, the win grabbed there by Bronze6. In game 2, we went to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Again, Bronze6 picking up another win. And UuuuuuuuU finally finding their stride here in game number 3, grabbing the win on Cursed Hollow. Those map bans that came out tonight, we won't be going to our Dragonshire and Hanamura from UuuuuuuuU, and Infernal Shrines and Towers of Doom being banned out by Bronze6. So we're not going to see those maps here. But next one, Battlefield of Eternity. What's your thoughts on that?
So Battlefield of Eternity is generally a team fight oriented map. It's usually teams that are concerned that maybe their macro isn't really where they want it to be, because there's not a lot of macro decisions on this map. You generally will team fight a lot. You'll usually draft 1 or 2 race heroes. So the team that picks Battlefield of Eternity is usually confident about their team's team fighting, which in this case, it was picked by UuuuuuuU. So I would imagine they're confident about their team fighting. They've had pretty good team fights so far. So I think this was a solid option. What I would imagine they would ban right away is the Uther and the Stitches, because this is a common map that Bronze6 has run that Stitches Medivh on.
Yeah.
But Bronze6, again, they have a strat for every map. So I think at this point they're going, okay, well, we've got the Stitches if they don't remember it. And if not, they might go back to something like a blow-up comp again, which has those pretty good team fights. So we'll definitely see what we're going to see out of this. I mean, are you expecting any adaptations coming out from either of these teams?
I honestly, at this point, I have no idea what UuuuuuuU is going to do. If they're going to go back to this, locking in those comfort picks, even though it might not be the best comp synergy-wise. There is some things that UuuuuuuU plays that are pretty good on Battlefield of Eternity, at least for that Immortal Burn, but there's one of them taken off the table right away there. So there's definitely some things I'm expecting to be contested and going for in these drafts from both teams, such as that Raynor as another pick. I believe both teams do play. Big Bird on his Hanzo is something we could see again here. Yeah, I think we have an idea. Oh, they are using
that's a solid ban. The only thing that I would say is if you ban Artanis, Coffee's probably solo laning. So that's the only thing about that.
Yeah. No, I agree. You know, that's one of almost a strength that happens for UuuuuuuU is KTZ ban a lot of the season has been used up for the teams that they are going against. And I don't necessarily know that they have any intention of running it, especially if Coffee is going to be playing off lane.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like they may have done a decent amount of research on paper, but haven't watched and followed each of these players to see. But that's okay. First pick, I'd imagine they'd probably grab a tank here. The Joanna is something that's available. Varian's also available. I forgot Gazlo was up right now. The GG gets the Gazlo pick. And now over here, I would imagine a Joe and Mahealer. Because they have Raynor or Greymane as an option, or Hanzo. So they have their race options. They don't need to pick their damage right now. So I'd imagine a tank and a healer gets picked up right here.
It's gonna be the
Okay.
All right, I think it was kind of just going with a, if it ain't broke, maybe we don't try to fix it too much. Still gonna lock in that variant here. I like too. I mean, we saw Slexia play Tyrana last match, and she's pretty good on BOE. She brings a little bit of extra immortal burn for her team.
Yeah, she does. And you can also just, again, an owl build, you can kind of chunk people with the owl a little bit, and that extra movement speed might slow people enough to where they accidentally get hit by the stun too. So they have Sylvanas and Raynor. Both are great for race, and they're both pretty decent for team fights as well. Both sustain heavy. So oftentimes when you see something like a Sylvan or Raynor, it's kind of a front to back composition. But I will say Kira often actually runs the dagger build, the W stacking quest at level 1 to be a little bit more bursty. So it's kind of like they just picked their mage pick right here, as well as their DPS. So what they have left is a healer and a tank, and I'd imagine they're going to ban out tank pieces here, maybe the Joe. Oh, that's surprising. They're getting rid of the Tyrande on the other side. But don't they just grab, like, Joe Anduin here? Unless Slex is going to grab Anduin. I feel like they just go Joe Anduin here.
So my question, has Bronze6 been practicing the Falling Sword Light Bomb combo if they do go
They
Joe Anduin?
They generally just go Blessed Shield Light Bomb, and it works just as well. It's a little bit easier to run. You get a little bit less of a gap closer, but you get a little bit more of a consistent AoE stun.
Yeah.
The Stukov ban was definitely solid. I feel like Slex has to pick Anduin here. I feel like that's the only option. They left Anduin open, and I think they just have to grab it. And then they can grab like the Hanzo if they want to. They can grab really whatever else they want. The Brightwing and D.Va. D.Va's always a good option on this map. Coffee plays a pretty mean D.Va. Part of the reason that D.Va's so good on this map is because you can delay and you can be really annoying by a long shot, like for a long time. You can knock everyone around, you can lower everyone's damage post level 16, and you can drop a bomb down, and all of those prevent race. So we do see the Joanna, and we're gonna see Ferret take the Karazim. It's more race. I mean, they're really heavy on race now.
Yeah.
Like really, they do have the combos with Gazelle already, so they could Blessed Shield into Gravo Bomb, which works really well. So maybe they just felt they didn't need the Anduin, and Karazim does give better race and a lot of unstoppables.
Sometimes teams really do kind of tunnel vision into just picking all stuff for the race, but you have to remember a lot of team fighting goes on in Battlefield of Eternity. There's a lot of times where you're just sitting in the middle of the map trying to get to each other's immortals, and it's more the team fight. Like, of course you need some race, especially in the early game, because death timers are so low that they're just back up to continue to contest. But if you end up going so hard onto the race that you don't really have a comp that synergizes well together, it can be an issue as well.
Yeah, it's honestly, I agree. I think that too many teams, your first point was too many teams overcommit and kind of tunnel vision on the race, but there's so many team fights that happen that you almost actually only ever need one race hero. One race hero is enough to race the immortal while the enemies are dead. But if you don't run any race heroes, then you kill the enemies, and then you can't kill the immortal fast enough so the enemies respawn and get there. But if you just have one and you wipe the enemy team, or even kill 3 or 4 of them, you win the race. Overcommitting to a race heroes works really well if you've got a great like defense, or you've got like you can kind of trick them around a little bit and then just quickly race for a second. Like if you're trying to out macro them, you get a bunch of camps and you go from there. But either way, we are currently on game number 4. UuuuuuuuU is behind 1-2, and UuuuuuuuU on the left side, we've got Slexia playing Brightwing, Coffee on D.Va, Big Bird on Li Ming, Unileska on Cassia, and Pang on Varian.
Over on the right-hand side, we have Bronze6, Juji playing Gazlo, Danny on the Joanna, Kira playing Sylvanas, Ferret on Karazim, and Hit the J on the Raynor.
So as far as race goes, we mentioned it a little bit, but on the side of Bronze6, they definitely are favored for the race. On the left side, really the only thing that they have is Li Ming. With Ether Walker, you can kind of increase your magic missile race a little bit. We do have, at the start, they're going for a little bit of structure damage here. Again, Pang on Varian isn't really a real hero yet, so they could go for this, but they actually just decided to play it safe.
Yeah, I just want to note too, Cassia's taking charge strikes at level 1 as well, so not going with that Thunderstroke and stacking the Q.
It's going auto attack build on Cassia is pretty strong. I guess the only major downside is that you get the attack speed, so it's going to help a little bit with race, but you don't really have as much race as someone like an Exterminator Rainer or Sylvanas with Merc Queen, because Merc Queen still for some reason increases damage to the Immortal, even though it says minions and Mercs. Yeah,
Because
I don't know.
I was saying
Unless it was
that the other
patched
day to
recently,
someone,
but-
and they're like, "No, I don't think it does." And I'm like, "I really thought that it was
It
was a
I
forever
have
just
not-
broken thing
I
that
have
they never
not
got around
seen
to
it in a
fixing."
patch notes yet being fixed, so I don't believe it's been fixed. But it is a bug that it will increase damage to.
See,
to
someone
Immortals.
convinced me it didn't work like that anymore, and so I stopped taking it for the extra damage whenever I played Sylphere.
I could be wrong. I'll look it up
I don't
after
know.
the game
No,
for sure.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can pull it up if during the game if there's like a slow race, I can maybe switch over to her and see if it adjusts. But yeah, it's definitely one of those like weird things that. But yeah, either way, Bronze6 has incredible race and way more race. There is never a point that UuuuuuuuuU should try to just race. They need to make sure they kill a few members first before they attempt to race.
Bronze6 is being very aggressive in this early game, trying to get as much pressure in this bottom lane before Varian has that level 4 online. They already have taken that bottom camp and tried to shove that in a bit, and now they're backing up here.
Okay, someone did say, Ektar did say that Merc Queen bug has been fixed. So even though it was in the game for over a year, apparently recently it has been fixed. So it was not supposed to increase damage to Immortals, but it was doing it for almost a full year. And it was definitely a popular pick against the Immortals. But that being said, still the race is definitely heavily favored for Bronze6. But those team fights, I mean, they still, UuuuuuuuU has that potential. Q build is probably the best race on the side of UuuuuuuuU. Q build, sorry, Magic Missiles from Li Ming, which took the first talent for it. Still level 4, went with the Orb talent. It's a pretty good talent to take in any build.
Bronze6 just feels very coordinated, and they're like, they know exactly where they want to go when they want to be there. The timing that they just had on their camps, they're just like, bruiser camp, top camp, go, we're on time for Immortal Burn. Like, they had that down.
Yeah, they have strategies. That's the thing. It's like Bronze6 they're the most coordinated team in this division by far. It's just this individual skill that they have to deal with. It's like all that coordination, and you still are going to have a hard time taking down UuuuuuuU, and that's the big thing is Uuuuuuu's approaching to defend on this next point, and Peng goes in, tries to go for a taunt, doesn't get it. Coffee's just cleaning up some of the turrets. They probably should be sending one person back to try to race, and that's what they're doing. They're going to send Big Bird over to at least race over the wall, so they're still close enough for this next fight. And Bronze6, I mean, they want to fight, but you generally don't want to fight underneath an Immortal. Lexi is going for a big heal onto Peng, gives some spell armor over to Yuna, trying her best to keep everyone healed up. A great bomb zones everyone out. They're able to take out Ferret rather quickly, and now they have time to get a little bit more race done. Big Bird's taking a lot of damage, though.
Lexi is managing to keep them up for now here. They've started to turn back to race their Immortal. But with the Exterminator Rainer taunt going out onto Juji, Exterminator Rainer is going to finish this up, though. This is going to be the first Immortal going over in favor of Bronze6.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was worried about on UuuuuU's side, is if you don't draft one of the 5 like mega race heroes, you will struggle, because they had a great team fight there, but they just didn't have the race. If you don't draft like a Vala, a Greymane, a Rainer, something like that, you're going to struggle when it comes to race. I'm curious why Big Bird didn't end up going Hanzo. He's not really a mega racer anymore, but he still can do quite a bit more race than someone like a Li Ming.
No, I agree with you. There's a taunt coming out from Peng, but it's going to leave him caught out a bit of position, getting chased down now by Bronze6, and he is going to fall here. This Immortal having about half of its health left. Full shield's down already, though. It does look like this top fort is going to fall without a front line here to kind of step up and tank anything for them.
First Punisher getting a fort is, I would say above average. It's a pretty good result to get. Again, I think it's just kind of a result of not drafting too much. Now, Coffee's really out of position here. He tried to push and get some value while everyone was there, but he will end up most likely dying here. We see Ferret using his clone to jump over. That is a risky teleport in there because you can turn 1 kill into 2 very easily. And that's exactly what happened right there. I mean, there was a small chance they both got out there, but sometimes you got to just let Coffee die. Unfortunately, that's just what happens. Now, are they going to be able to get a lot of value off of this? I mean, this is something where Bronze6 can certainly just push and see what they can get now that there's 2 dead, and still that travel time you've got to add into it as well. And a Sylvanas, this looks like it's going to be a forward in favor of Bronze6.
Yeah, that's exactly how you want to play things when you have a Sylvanas on your team. Get that Black Arrow value, shut down those forwards, grab those structures, and do something with your picks. So this is exactly what I love to see from Bronze6 right here.
Yeah, it's just having those strategies and having the, I mean, these are very simple shot calls that a lot of teams need to get down perfectly, which you get a kill, you get something. You get 2 kills, you get something bigger.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than casting a game and they get kills and they just do camps. And then the camps get cleared because by the time their camps are in lane, everybody's back up on the enemy team. Like, okay,
exactly.
got a little
Camps
bit of
travel
XP.
time is just, yeah, it's just, it's too much, especially late game. Camps just get free cleared so fast too.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's just crazy. Now we have a great taunt. Ping's getting some healing. Coffee's going in there, but Coffee's actually going to get dropped before the bomb goes off. And now Juji's super low. Is Peng going to be able to finish him off? No, he gets blinded, and he's not able to just get that one auto attack he needed to take out Juji. Once again, that's 2 people down, and this is, I mean, Bronze6 has the race. They can get this to halftime show in, I mean, a matter of seconds. By the time I finish this sentence, they're going to be in halftime show. Or, I mean, I could drag it on, but probably not.
Just drag the sentence on to make your
I'm going to drag it on because they're taking a tad longer than I expected them to.
I didn't have Gazlo to help. If Gazlo was there, then you would have been right.
It was the Gazlo. I would have been right.
Yeah, on top of that, too, they have all these camps in the lanes pushing. Level 10 still not quite online for UuuuuuuuU here. And level 10s have been up for quite a while for Bronze6. If I was UuuuuuuuU, I just would have given over that Bruiser camp. They committed so hard to fighting there. Down their ultimates. It's just a little questionable.
It is. I think what's really showing
There's a
here
blessed
is
shield
that's actually pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty good blessed shield to be out. I mean, if they want to try to fight here, there's one ult down. It's a taunt on Akira, a little too far away to follow up, but they did try to do that same teleport in and polymorph. This is a huge Grabo bomb coming out from Gazlo. They were able to take out Sylv, but they're going to lose 3 people for that, maybe 4. And right there, 3 people, and that's that's almost a full shield immortal that's just taken away down at bot lane. They could go down there and just add so much. But I mean, what I was saying is just like, I feel like it's just the roster pools. We talked about how UuuuuuuU has like really strong, like 5 to 10 heroes, but I feel like they're just limited because they didn't have the race heroes available.
Some Immortal pushing in now onto this bottom. Keep taunt coming out onto Juji, but we have Karazim popping that 7-sided strike, making Peng have to back off for a second here. He's trying to create enough space so that his team can clear up this Immortal without being pressured too much by the enemy team. One thing I wanted to note, Juji, I mean, this is the thing when he's on that Gazlo, he does such a good job, and his team as well, is kind of baiting them out into chasing into these grab bombs. I've seen him so many times where they're just like, oh, you think you're in control of this fight, you think this fight's going in your favor, and he just gets them out of position enough that he drops that grab bomb out and connects onto so many members, and he's done it several times. You saw it in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, you're completely right on that. Like, he does kind of bait him back, not only into the gravel bombs, but into a lot of his turrets. He sets a couple turrets. They almost like make a mistake on purpose to let the enemies like kind of walk in, and then they just turn it, and they just turn the fight. And so it's like they look for picks, and then they kind of like look like they're making a mistake. Yeah. And then they just let them walk in it like right again. You see, he's stepping back. He had the turrets out there, and he was stepping back to see if they went for the taunt. If they went for the taunt, he would have comboed. Otherwise, he's just holding his abilities right now.
Sylvanas here, 7-sided strike popped by Karazim. Didn't get anything off that, but they did manage to secure that bottom keep. Coffee coming in for the flank here, does have that mech explosion up, but they do not have level 13s yet, so a little risky potentially here. Almost online. Immortals coming up in about 25 seconds. I think they're going to be a rotation up to this top siege camp. And the Bruiser camp just
kind of needs to make a play here. They're going to hit 13s. They kind of need to make a play. They can't have 2 camps pushing top and have to deal with that as well as this Immortal, because by the time they deal with those camps, the race is going to be over.
Yep. No, you're exactly correct here. And I mean, it doesn't really look like they have anything in mind here. They're just kind of hanging around waiting for the Immortal spawn in. Do you see that taunt going out onto Juji here? He is caught out of position, having to kind of path an awkward way with the bomb coming out from D.Va. Gravel bomb used before he went down, though. That's going to be a 1-0 in favor of UuuuuuuuuU.
And it's a good one for them to get. They are on a bit of a timer, though, because of those 2 camps pushing top that could easily take a keep if this fight goes long. At the same time, they kind of have to race, because if not, Kira and Jay are going to be able to just shred through this Immortal. So currently they are winning the race, but I don't know if D.Va was the best option to clear that camp when she's also one of the best options for just delaying the enemies. We have a taunt, and Li Ming goes in to use the Calamity and try to blow up the taunted target, but immediately gets mind controlled and blown up by the 7-sided strike. And that's going to be rough, because now they're going to have to force a fight down one of their highest damage heroes.
Yeah, and now Gazlo back up as well, so make that a 4v5. And keep in mind, during all of this, they still have Katas in every single wave in the bottom lane, and the periodic Katas in that top lane, pressuring their top keep and core eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it won't take very long. They can't stall for very long. They have to just go for one of these and try to get a major kill. And so they're going to get a big heal. Peng ends up eating the mind control for the team, but another great Gravo Bomb stuns 2 of them, blows them up with the laser. Kira's getting low, jumps out. Coffee ends up losing his mech. He's going to do his best to try to get his mech back, but unfortunately he gets dropped there. Now it's just Big Bird as well as Yuna. And I mean, if they were any higher level, I would say they could probably just end the game here, but instead they're going to go finish up this Immortal. They'll end up with a half shield, full health Immortal, pushing in the top lane. And so this will give some time for UuuuuuuuU to get at least some defense ready, clear up bot lane and get a defense ready for top. But they're going to be down level 16, which is a huge talent tier for these teams.
This is a pretty good Immortal coming in for Bronze6 here. I mean, aside from having level 16, they also have half a shield on this Immortal, and the front wall already down on this top keep. There's a mind control coming out from Sylvanas here that is going to catch her, and a lot of the team getting caught out by the Joanna here as well. We are going to see the Li Ming fall. And again, that's exactly what you said earlier, that one of their high damage heroes getting picked off here, making it much harder to pull off a taunt combo.
Yeah, I mean, another big Gravel Bomb goes out. Not too much follow-up this time. And actually, the re-engage onto Gazlo. They're able to take out Gazlo. Coffee's able to get back in his mech, and he's going to get stunned right here by the Immortal, but that's okay. He's going to lose his mech again, potentially, but no, a big heal coming out. They will lose their keep, but they are going to stay in this game a little bit longer. And the level 16 power spike is going to be pretty big for their team. We'll have a lot of burst potential coming out from Li Ming, and we're also going to be having a lot more damage coming out from Cassia. Potentially even like a 50 to 60% increase in her DPS, depending on the talent that she takes.
Now, this is a really tough situation to be in on Battlefield of Eternity, because now you have those catapults spawning in every single wave and a lot of pressure in the lanes to head to core. You really can't really take your time on these Immortal phases, because you end up having so much pressure built up that your core is going to start taking damage. So for Bronze6, they have this opportunity now. They can kind of just hang back and play this on their terms. They can play it slow, look for the fights that they want to look for when they want to look for them. They don't really need to be forcing anything necessarily.
Yeah, that's honestly, I mean, that's exactly right. Like, they have the full map. They don't really need to do anything. They also have an experience lead, and not just an experience lead, but also a passive experience gain lead. For each fort, you will get 20% increased passive experience. And this is Coffee. I mean, they went for an invade. They weren't able to get the camp, but they still are going to try to make this happen. Another Gravo goes out. An amazing cleanse came out from Slexia to prevent them pulled into that stun. But unfortunately, that's Varian getting taken out. And Big Bird is really, really low. You had to pick up Diamond Skin to survive that. Coffee is going to get taken out here. Uses his bomb to kind of switch half and half with his health. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. That's 2 dead, and everyone's alive on the side of Bronze6. They could potentially try to end here, especially if they can take out Big Bird, but he actually stalls for a little bit. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. I mean, they're not going to have a lot of camps available, and they still hit level 20s first, so it looks like they're not going to try to end the game here. They're just going to race down the Immortals and end with the Immortal and end with level 20.
I mean, yeah, they can play safe. Like I said, they have enough pressure just from Katas alone in these lanes that there's nothing really pressuring them to do anything overly aggressive here. They can just kind of sit back. You know, if they want to just sit in the defense until UuuuuuuuuU comes to try and fight them, it's still probably going to work out pretty well for them here because they're fighting under their Immortal, still up levels. There's the mind control, followed up by the Seven Side of Paddle, followed up with a huge gravel bomb coming out. UuuuuuuuuuU struggling to stay alive. Brightwing keeping her up, though, and it is Pang now stuck in the backline once again. We are going to see him fall a 1-for-0 so far in favor of Bronze6. Kira getting quite low. Big Bird looking for those resets, but not able to find them. And now Karazim chasing him down, but Brightwing just really is, she's there, you know? She's in for the saves right now. Unfortunately, though, it is going to be the Diva going down. Kind of being left behind as Karazim chased down the backline. Polymorph coming out from the Brightwing, followed up by the Fend from Cassia. They are looking to try and get at least some counter pick here.
And this whole time, 3 catapults on the bottom, 2 catapults on the top, all hitting the core right now, shaving off a good portion, about 3% per second, or per like 3 seconds.
Somebody's got to go clear
for each
these.
catapult. So it looks like Cassie's going to do what she can to try to clear that for a little bit, while the rest of them are just going to do their best to delay. And Big Bird's going to get mind controlled, taken out by a taunt or a stun, and that is also Brightwing down. This is looking like it's going to be the finals. I mean, grand finals for Bronze6. I mean, they don't even need the Immortal here. There's 2 dead. They probably should wait for it. It's a 4v3 at the moment, so they should wait. Now, if they get this pick on Juji really quick, there is that world, but like you said, it's just that bait again. Juji kind of baits him in, gets another pick, and now that's 1 less damage dealer that they have to deal with this Immortal. And so now this Immortal alone ends the game. And even though they traded Juji to get that, that is still so favorable for them. So that is it right there. That is game number 4 in favor. Bronze6 taking it 3-1. And that is grand finals. And that's quite an incredible grand finals. I mean, some of the games were pretty close, but Bronze6 showed, 1, why they deserve to be in the playoffs, why they deserve to be in the grand finals, and now they just showed why they deserve to take it. And that is, I mean, this was an incredible game. It was an incredible series, Jazzy.
Yeah, both these teams worked so hard to get here this season, but Bronze6, I think, especially just working on what comps work for them, having an idea of strategy of how we're going to put our team together, not necessarily just playing the strongest things that they have in their hero pool, but how those picks are going to work as a team and fit into something that will be... that'll work together. Sorry, Slexi was just whispering me. So I think she would like to be interviewed as well. So maybe we'll just pop in for a quick second and do an interview with UuuuuuuuU, and then we'll interview the winners to wrap up the evening, if that sounds good.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. We can do an interview with UuuuuuuU, and then do the full grand finals winners interview with Bronze6 after that. Are we going to be hopping into the NGS channel?
Yeah, let me just kind of coordinate with them and give them a heads up. I'm going to ask one team to join one lobby and another so that we're not, we don't have like 10 people trying to talk at the same time.
No worries. We'll make sure they're in like different rooms and everything. Since you're getting all that set up, I did want to kind of answer a couple questions. Some people were wondering if there was the Shattering Throw. Shattering Throw was not picked up. It was Mortal Strike. I think it was just primarily he was concerned that even with like the hold your ground, the extra shield might be hard to break. But yeah, overall, I mean, the builds were not too unusual for the most part. Yeah, it was a pretty solid game. Damage was pretty close for these teams, especially with, I mean, Gazlo topped the damage chart for Bruiser. That's pretty great. But Raynor and Sylph were also kind of racing a little bit.
Anything you want to note talent-wise or anything before I move off of this screen?
No, we should be good.
I'll meet you over in lobby 1 there. We're gonna do an interview with UuuuuuuuuU first. UuuuuuuuuU coming, second place in their whole division this season is pretty impressive. They should be proud of it either way. They might not have got the win tonight, but they definitely did very, very well this season. So we're going to start there with UuuuuuuuU, and then we'll move into the winner interview with Bronze6. So we'll get to hear a little bit from both teams to wrap up this evening. All right. Hello, UuuuuuuU. Good games tonight. I think either way, you guys, you have had an amazing season for a team that just kind of came together before the season of NGS. And I know the amount of practice you guys have been doing. I think you performed quite well this season, and you should be proud of yourselves.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
We made it to the grand finals, right? This is like the best of the best in BWS. Obviously, we don't have a coach named NotParadox. Obviously, we don't practice. So it was a big deal for us.
Let's talk about how you prepped for this finals tonight. What did you exactly do to try and figure out what you're going to play into this team?
We played a couple quick matches. We lost both. I'm kidding.
We won one of them.
We won one of them. I forgot. And I wanted to practice a little and try to have the team work on some things, like just get loosened up because I don't know, Coffee and Peng haven't played in 2 weeks. So we just came in, cold completely. I wanted to do some drills with Paradox and they're like, nah, let's warm up in quick match. So that's where we went and got nice and toasty, came in,
Sometimes warming up with quick matches is just the way to go, though. You don't want to stress yourselves
3-1.
out in ranked games.
Well, we didn't do ranked games because Peng and Coffee had not played in so long that their accounts were still unplaced.
Oof.
Well, the season just started. That's not that bad. It's only been a few days. It's not that big a deal.
And I mean, Shadowlands has been out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I've been playing a lot of WoW,
Yeah. Oh,
but yeah,
so
overall, it was great.
how much scouting did you guys do into what Bronze6 ran for comps? I think a little bit of it showed in your drafting, but let us hear from you.
Do you want me to answer that, or
It's just the Uther with the kidnapping comp, right? Flex?
we just didn't want to go against Kidnap. We
Yeah.
didn't want
Yeah.
them to play Taunt Varian with Uther, with Genji, or anything like that. We weren't expecting a Valera, but we knew that we could play and deny them what they wanted, and we could ban heroes from them by taking them.
Mhm.
And it worked for us, especially the game on Cursed Hollow, but we never could have expected the Valera. Our scouting, I think, was minimal, but more than any other team.
Mhm. Let's talk about
You
that.
know?
Let's talk about that Cursed Hollow game for a moment. How good did it feel to take a comp that Bronze6 has run several times before this season and use it on them and win? You must have been feeling so great after that third game.
It felt good.
Oh, yeah, we didn't
Honestly-
necessarily take it because it was their comp. We took it because it's a comp that, it's the Training Wheels
Yeah.
comp. Not Paradox probably called it when he was casting, right?
Mm-hmm. No, but just, I know it's not their comp. They didn't come up with it, but it's a comp that they've run. So just the cherry on top there, just using something that they've won games with against them just must have been just add a little bit extra sweetness to that victory.
Yeah, that one felt really good. Even the losses felt good because honestly, like I said, going into this, we didn't expect to make it all the way to the grand finals. It was many of our first seasons playing, or our first season in NGS. So we come in here, somehow stumble our way to grand finals against a super polished team, and there's nothing but respect for them. They're clearly, at the top of this division, if not better than this division. I think they're placed in Division 1 in Heroes Lounge. That's serious stuff. So the fact that we even took a game off of them, I think is a big deal.
Yeah, I think, all in all, you guys should be very proud of how you performed this season. You haven't played together. You weren't coached before you haven't played together before the NGS season as a team. And to come out on top as second place in your division is nothing to be ashamed of at all. Paradox, do you have some questions you want to throw in here?
Honestly, I was just gonna keep the interview a little short because I don't want to have the other team waiting too long. So I just have one real question. I mean, you guys, we're about to interview Bronze6. I mean, you guys just played against them. You kind of know their ins and outs. You guys just had to duke back and forth. Is there anything that you guys want to say to Bronze6?
I think the most annoying thing for me was that Valera. That's all I want to say. Like, that was pretty nasty. Yeah, GG.
No.
It was fun. Like, honestly, in the end of all this, I just want to say real quick, I know you guys are moving on to the next interviews and stuff. In the end, we played as a team. We're all friends. We played for fun without any practice, really. And, after all this, who knows if we'll all play, in the NGS again and stuff. But it was all fun. Like, even with the loss, like, we came all the way to the grand finals. Exactly what Slexia said. We stumbled our way, and we just, I don't know. It was an interesting ride.
One last thing to answer your question. In all seriousness, I would love to congratulate them. I want to say that. I want to say congratulations and just excellent job. The teamwork that you guys display is a challenge to play against, and I wish you guys the best of luck. That's it.
All right. Well, GG's tonight. We're going to go ahead and move on down to Bronze6. But again, congrats on how your team performed this season. And I hope to see you guys playing again. But whatever happens. Either way, you guys should be proud of how far you came this season.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thanks
for
Good night, guys.
Thanks for casting.
Yeah, no problem.
Good night.
All right, we have Bronze6 here now, the Div B West champions. How are you guys feeling?
Let's
Really
go. Yeah.
I'm pretty fucking happy. I'm pretty fucking happy.
We're all
I
gonna go
apologize
get
for
Korean
cursing.
barbecue. We're all getting Korean barbecue and we're
Virtually,
gonna
of course.
Yeah, virtual Korean barbecue. It's gonna be
Virtual.
great.
You're not going to
Virtual,
travel?
you gotta that safe or social
yeah,
distancing. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we're all ready to launch up Grand Theft Auto Online, and we're gonna hit up a Korean barbecue joint in that game.
I don't know about you guys. I'm actually gonna go to a Korean barbecue because we're actually doing a little bit better over here.
Oh right, you're actually in Korea. It's just
Yeah, I'm actually
barbecue
in
for you
Korea.
then.
it's just called barbecue now.
Yeah, it's just barbecue. Oh my gosh, dude.
What do
the
you call
barbecue
Korean
here is
barbecue in
freaking
Korea? Is it
phenomenal.
just barbecue?
It's barbecue. It's
Nice.
just barbecue. Actually, they still call it. Technically, they still call it Korean barbecue. They just say barbecue though. But it says KBBQ on most of the places. For us, non Korean Korean language speaking individuals like myself.
How's the adjustment going to moving to a completely new country, especially where like English isn't necessarily everybody's first language?
Juji, can I answer a question for you?
Sure,
So
go ahead. Please answer for
I
me,
jumped
Danny.
into chat last night, and Juji's sharing his screen of Korean Tinder with Ferret and a couple other guys in the chat, and they're like, okay, swipe right, swipe left, swipe right, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're doing Korean Tinder for Juji, and I'm like, okay. So that took about an hour last night.
That is true.
Good practice time. Good practice time.
Yeah, you had a match on
Yeah,
on Hinge,
exactly.
right, or Bumble, Juji?
I had a match
All
on
right,
Bumble.
let us know how it goes.
I'll let
You have to let us all know. There's 114 people watching. You're gonna have to message each of us individually so we all know
Yeah,
how it went.
That's what I should just do. Is
Bumble's
just
the
scream
one that the girl talks first, right? So has she already sent a message over?
For the Bumble part, I actually haven't messaged
I heard
her,
she
to be
did,
honest.
but he couldn't
no.
read it because he didn't read Korean.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Okay, yeah, yes.
Well, how
I'm
about,
not too worried about it.
How about we talk a little bit more about your team and the games tonight and NGS stuff?
Oh sure. I
As
guess we
fun
can
as
do
it is
that.
to hear about South Korea and your Bumble adventures, let's talk about what you guys did to prep to play against UuuuuuuuuU tonight.
I would say that we take these things seriously. A
Mhm.
lot of us have devoted a lot of our time and energy to be the best we can be. And Kira has the mantra of we just need to improve each game, even with the loss. Like, how do we get better?
Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter if we're playing the best team in Div 1 or the worst team in Division E. We're gonna respect our team and make sure that we practice as a team and get better as a team to improve in it. And I'm so proud of my team. I love these guys. We famously get along. We bullshit all time. We play this game. We have a great time. I am lucky to be on a team with Ferret and Kira, CRT and Hit the J and Smoogie. They are hard carrying the worst tank in B West. But I'm so lucky to be part of this great team.
All right, boys. Anyone's eyes watering?
Yes, all the time. Yes, 100%.
I just want to mention a couple days ago, me and Danny worked on like how the draft would go, and we came up with a couple different comps. The priority one we didn't get to do at all because they banned Uther. Pretty sure you guys are familiar with it. The Genji Uther. But we actually have a cool name for it. It's called Mom Spaghetti, and and we call it that because the Uther D shield, provides care. It takes care of the Genji like the love of a mother, and the blade, doesn't do too much damage. It's like a wet noodle, right? And noodle spaghetti. There you go, Mom Spaghetti.
There you go. There's a lot of names for that combo, but the new one is Mom Spaghetti. Heard it here.
There we go. We had fun. We're looking forward to next season with these guys.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, are you guys still planning on playing together for next season of NGS? I know you mentioned you're doing another.
Yeah,
league
we're
that's going
doing
on.
Heroes Lounge right now, and we're being humbled in Div 1. But I think Div 1 games is great practice for the playoffs. Unfortunately, CRT, our guy that is in Peru, has been dealing with social angst down there, and so he's missed the playoffs. But we've had our sub fill in for him, and Hit the J has done a great job.
Yeah, I think the tyke is coming out from Hit the J. Just the amount of damage you were able to pop off on there, it was really well played. And for those watching, they probably didn't even realize Hit the J wasn't a core member that you guys have had playing in every game with you this season, because it didn't show at all that he was subbing.
Yeah, but we've played with Jay for 3 years. He's a friend. He's a friend.
For those of them that don't know, how long has your team been playing together?
Hit the J, myself, CRT, Kira, we've been playing. It's funny, we went through our Discord. It's been 3 to 4 years, right? And Smoogie, Juji, Smoogie, and Ferret, it's been the first season of NGS.
Now I think you picked Smoogie up after the whole.
Yeah, we got
thing
both
that they do.
Ferret and Smoogie after the combine. I mean, any team that's looking to pick up like a off roster sub or a main roster sub, if NGS does another combine, watch those scrims and you can see who's gonna impress you. I mean, we had 2/3 of our team picked up in the last 2 weeks of NGS, so it's really great.
I'm pretty sure I memed in almost every single one of those matches too.
And how lucky are you to have Smoogie and Ferret come in and just fit so well with your group too? Just the attitude wise and joke wise, it kind of feels like you guys have known each other for much longer than you have.
Well, I'm a huge asshole, and just for them to get when we interview these guys, we kind of figured out we're gonna pick for culture first to make sure it's a good match, and then we're gonna pick for skill, right? So that the first thing we did is we had 30-minute, hour-long conversation in Discord, and then we jumped into some games and got along. That was it.
All right, Paradox.
Yeah,
you have any questions?
just my love for the game honestly helps me just put aside the bullshit he puts up. Helps me kind of ignore it. I'm just kidding.
No, you're
they
not.
started like joking around. Yeah, first time I started playing with them, they were joking around, and I just kind of we matched really well.
Paradox, do you have some questions?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised on how well we all kind of like clicked when we started playing. I pretty much get along with just about anybody, and I was actually very surprised, like the chemistry we had just starting out. And because I think at that phase when I joined them, I was literally spamming Murky in every Storm League game that I possibly could, and was just kind of like goofing off for the most part. And so it's kind of nice to kind of get back into a somewhat of a competitive scene, I guess, if you will, and actually doing meta things. But I still like to embrace my inner Murky and rolling the Abathur and some other interesting niche heroes. So.
All right, we have some questions coming in from chat here as well. Tierless would like to know how you guys are feeling about Medallion being gone. Did you find that helped a lot with your CC change that you were running tonight?
It makes it a lot easier for us because we run a chain CC comp, and I think a lot of players, for myself, I think I was worse after the Medallion was taken away because we had that oh shit button we could push anytime.
Yeah.
And once that was removed, it was like, oh, we have to make sure we're not getting, stunned out of our minds. But no, I think the Medallion changes were it was impactful for our team because we run a lot of comps that deal just chain CC.
Speaking of stunned out of your mind, those gravel bombs coming out on the Gazlo, what are your comms like there? Because it really feels like I was saying when we were casting, it kind of feels like you are trying to bait them out before you toss the gravel bomb out. Like Gazlo steps forward, like, come on, taunt me, come at me, come on, I dare you.
Well, normally, I mean, we just talk a lot, just like when we're looking for some things, right? So it's not like, hey, I'm throwing this now. It's more of like, hey, I'm looking so that way everybody holds abilities.
Mm-hmm.
With their composition, with the variant, they have to go in. And honestly, it doesn't really matter what tank they have. I'm not even really going for the tank when they do that. Tank initiates, everybody else follows up, and so that's where I typically try to grab bomb. But a lot of it just depends situationally. So I've just called out when I'm looking for it, and then just kind of see an opportunity and go from there.
Yeah, after the third game when they took the variant, when they mirrored our comp, we said, oh, we'll go Sylvanas with mind control. So every time he steps up, he's going to get mind control out of his mind. I owed Kira $20 because he said, I'm going to mind control, outside of the wall and see if I get anybody. And he got lucky and got somebody. But no, honestly, I think Kira set up a lot of the grab bombs because we led them with mind control, and then Juji would come in with his fun grab bombs, and shields were tossing around. Yeah, it was really cool.
And can I just add that the idea for the mind control, the idea was to mind control and then follow up with Kara's ult, and that was actually a strategy that CRT, he couldn't play with us, but he came up with that like a couple days ago, and he said he had it in a dream, and we didn't really get a chance to practice it all that much with him, but we decided to, in his honor, to try it out in that game.
These guys are just
Yeah.
having some like divine intervention into
Right.
your drafts.
Yeah.
Yes, just speaking to him.
Yeah, we just put all our faith into CRT's idea.
No, it worked really great, and you guys executed it really well. You can tell that your team has put a lot of effort into creating comps that synergize well together, and your communication has been worked on as well. Amazing season coming out all around. Paradox, do you have any questions you want to throw out here before we get into some shout-outs?
Not too many. I mean, I was actually going to ask about that combo a little bit. Back in the day, back in HGC, there was a combo that we used a lot that was like Dahaka would drag them into the 7-sided strike, and I was like, oh, it's kind of like that, but with a little bit more meta heroes, and especially on a map like that. So I think it's funny that it came in a dream, just because it's like it is kind of an old combo that's just a variation of it. So I think that's really cool, especially since that version of mind control didn't exist back then. So CRT might have just came up with like the new version of that combo. But yeah, it was really solid. I guess I only really had 2 questions, and it was just kind of, were there any times in the draft or in the game that you felt you were kind of worried about, maybe in the draft where they grabbed a few too many pieces that you guys were trying to do in a thing, or were you mostly prepared? I was just curious about your thoughts during the drafts of those 4 games.
I don't think we were worried. Honestly, we were a little happy that they banned the stitches. They wasted a ban on stitches. But we, what they took, we knew exactly what we were drafting before the game started, and if we had to shift, we'd shift. But no.
My only concern was that in our practice runs with the Valera Abathur, it was usually on kind of smaller maps, not one as big as Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, with Uther.
And usually with Uther, so there was that divine shield protection.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious. Have you guys thought about running and I know Juji's gonna love this monstrosity. If you're gonna run something like a Valera where you're just gonna keep the hat on her the entire fight, sometimes it's better to just like monstrosity, and then as the fight goes long, you just because you're getting one pick at the beginning, and then you just kind of sit with a hat on it the rest of the fight. So I was just curious if you've ever tried it with monstrosity instead. We've been seeing that in CCL recently.
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't know. Personally, I was thinking about it, but the way that the game was going and the way the team was kind of running, we were kind of fighting a little bit more than necessary. I thought it'd be better to get the evolution just so I could get like some extra CC and grab the Joe.
Yeah.
Just kind of going from there. And kind of roll up to that, because I think ultimately for me, I was like hoping we can get to 20 so I can do Hive Mind, and then with coupling that with the Valera and the Rainer at some point. We also had a different idea too for the healer, but I think once again it's just one of those comps we're just trying to work on. But yeah, I have seen the monstrosity. I did see that earlier on CCL. I know there's a 100% win rate on Murky in the CCL, so I'm sure there's going to be an uptick in Murky play in Storm League across the board. So there's a lot of different things that we like to run. I personally love playing Abathur. And there's some other things I like to do as well. But yeah, I've seen the monstrosity. I just got to get in the habit of trying to take it so I can give it more of an option to me. But I think overall I like the evolution more, since most teams like to brawl a little bit more. I just like evolution because of that fact, especially if we initiate properly with that.
Yeah.
So.
No, I definitely agree. So overall, I mean, it seems like the game you guys lost is a comp that you may just need a little bit more practice on, a little bit more tweaking on that. But overall, you guys played 4 amazing games. Jazzy, any more questions before we get to shoutouts?
No, I think we've kind of touched on everything I wanted to hit on tonight, so I would love to hear those shoutouts.
Shoutouts to Jazzalene and Paradox. Paradox was instrumental with getting us tightened up prior to the beginning of the season, and the Bronze6 family, and obviously Juji's mom for carrying him most of his life. Juji, any shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, big shout out to my teammates itself. Thanks for having me and putting up with my ridiculous schedule, especially to moving to Korea. And big shout out to who you are in the chat, Jazzy too, you as well, Paradox. Thank you guys for, especially the people in the Bay Area. I appreciate you guys' support and everything like that through some, when the pandemic and everything happened, big shout out to everybody there. And then, just making this move to Korea a little bit easier. So hopefully I'll be able to stay in touch with you guys. It's a little bit of a time difference. I am from the future. So, slide in them DMs. I'll try to give you some stuff, but just keep in mind, I can't alter reality. So I have to pick and choose, but yeah, so, thanks again. And then thanks obviously everybody else in B West. You guys were really awesome. Keep your heads up and kind of keep rolling from there. And I hope you guys just keep having successful seasons and keep enjoying the game.
I just want to give a shout out to Jazzalene, probably my favorite caster.
Aw, thank you.
And shout out to NotParadox, really helping us get our act together early on with the coaching. And for anybody watching, I just want to say that about 3 years ago, I did take a picture with NotParadox, and I still have it. And it is one of the most awkward pictures I've ever been in. It was my fault. I think, but
hold on. Was this the esports arena or was this at BlizzCon?
This was the esports arena.
Really? Were you with the Boosted Bunker Club?
Yes, I was.
Okay. I know who you are.
Yeah.
That's how awkward that picture was. I know exactly who
No,
you
no,
are.
no. There were only like two. There
This
were only
makes
like
me
2
so
or 3
happy
people
right
who
now.
took pictures with me that day, and I know what day it was. So
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, no, that's funny.
And I want to give a shout out to my team, especially in this series, because honestly, I felt like my performance tonight wasn't like the best yet. How I know it wasn't as good as it could have been, and then they really picked up the slack that I was given.
All right. Well, congrats again on the win. You should be so proud of how you came to be the B West champions this season. Oh my God, I'm tired, obviously, because I'm just stuttering over my words at this point. But you guys deserve it. I mean, you've worked really hard to be here. You've put a lot of effort into making these comps and these practices and scouting teams. And congrats again on that win. And good luck in your future ventures as a team. I can't wait to see how you guys grow and what happens next season.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, let's get Paradox back up here to wrap up the evening. And just give me a second. My dog is on my lap, and she's going to jump and pull my headphone cords and my entire desk set up down with her. So we'll get Paradox back here in just a moment. And we'll wrap this up. I know we have a couple things to touch on before we close out the night.
All right.
What a great series. And
Yeah, that was
two great teams too. Like everybody on it, just really lovely people to always interview and upbeat. And congrats to B West, or congrats to Bronze 6 for winning B West again. Let me get your camera back up here for us.
seriously. They played it so well. They showed up. They beat teams that that have been playing together for such a long time. Teams that have, coaches that have been working with them for a long time. Lurk Patrol is one of the teams that they ended up beating that most teams thought was going to take this entire series, and Lurk Patrol ended up getting taken out, and Bronze 6 just continued going forward. And I mean, they played so well, so I wish them the best of luck going forward. With that being said, guys, this is the end of Nexus Gaming Series Division B for this season. Make sure to B West. Yes. There's still B East and Southeast.
There's
I think
Northeast and Southeast. And
that's
so
what it is. Northeast and Southeast.
There'll be the finals for those divisions, and then the winners of those divisions will face off in a grand finals. And maybe, I don't know, this isn't in the NGS schedule, but maybe the winners from that will make time to have a on-the-side little game with the winners from tonight's series just for fun, because that would be really cool to see.
That would be cool. I know last season or the season before, it wasn't the two split season, or the two split things had to play each other at the end. But I know it gets weird because it's like, when West goes against East, it's like, well, what server do you put it on? Because if it's on the West server, you can't choose it anymore. And if it's on the West, then everyone on East is at a disadvantage. If it's at East, then everyone at the West is at a disadvantage. And it's like, it's never really that fair. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, overall, I mean, this has been incredible. And if so, you guys can see more NGS stuff. Make sure to follow on their Twitch. Make sure to follow on their Twitter for Next Gaming Series, and check out their Discord as well. Jazzy, where can they find you, and what do you have going on?
Yeah, if you want to drop me a follow, you can do that over at twitch.tv/Jazzalene, just as it's right below my name there, or right below me there, my name, spelled just like that. So you can go follow me there. You can follow me on Twitter at Jazzalene Games. In terms of what's going on here, some of you are familiar that I run a community/show/ all-female thing called Girls Gang Squad. Girls Gang Squad frequently does charity streams, and a lot of the times we do it in affiliation with NGS. We have a lot of community members come in to help out run it and promote it and stuff. So we're doing another one on December 12th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. We are going to be running an all-day Heroes of the Storm charity tournament, all-female players, to raise money for Marine Toys for Tots. So if that's something you're interested in checking out, we're going to be having all the games casted. Paradox is going to be joining me to cast again that day. We're going to have Slexia casting as well as Weenus. So 4 of us coming in to cast those games, and we're even going to have the last times we've done it, you were there last time for the breast cancer when we did.
Yep.
It was only 1 game in the first round that was casted, but all the games are going to be casted this time. We have some other guest casters joining to cast on their own channels. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you're a woman and want to play, please reach out to me, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, wherever you can DM me. We'll get you an invite to the server. And I hope to see you there. I know the HOTS community is very, very generous, and I have no doubt that you guys are going to make it a successful event. It's a fun time, so I highly recommend checking it out. That's all going to be streamed at my Twitch channel again, so that's Jazzalene on Twitch. And Paradox, what about you?
Yep. So most people know me from my YouTube channel. I'm one of the largest educational YouTubers for Heroes of the Storm. I also do some psychology content and some philosophy or whatever. Yeah, so you can always just find that at youtube.com/NotParadox. You can follow my Twitch as well. I don't stream very often. I've so far streamed once every 10 months. So you kind of get an idea of when my next stream is going to be. No, I do plan on maybe streaming a little bit more. It just depends on kind of what happened in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I saw you live the other day.
I did do a little bit of streaming the other day. The other thing too is if you guys don't know, Bronze6 mentioned a little bit that I do coaching as well. You can check out my website, notparadox.com. There's a little coaching section in there. This season in NGS, I coached 8 teams. All 8 teams made it into playoff. 2 of the teams won their divisions. So, I mean, hopefully that speaks for itself. I definitely have coached teams of all levels. I've coached players of all levels, and it's something that's a lot of fun. So, otherwise, just make sure to check out anything else. If you're trying to find my Twitter or anything, I have something different for every single one. So it's not as easy as me just saying, oh, well, it's this and then this. Just Google NotParadox. You'll find my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, everything like that, and you can go from there. So, yeah, that is it, and that is NGS. I mean, this has been a ton of fun, Jazzy. Thank you so much for inviting me back again, and then also for Sunday.
Yeah, no, Saturday.
So Saturday, sorry, Saturday.
Yeah, no, I love casting with Paradox. It's so easy. Paradox obviously has great knowledge of the game. It's just super easy flow. So I appreciate you coming to cast tonight. I couldn't think of anyone better to have on to specifically cast this matchup. And yeah, go give him a follow on his Twitch and go check out his website. Book him for coaching. He's awesome. But that's gonna wrap it up. Congrats to the winners once again. Bronze6 winning the Division B West Grand Finals, and have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.